Good morning, good afternoon to everyone all over the world.
TikTok, it's time to rock.
TikTok, it's time to rock. So, today we're going to be going through Is the world flat according to Islam? Uh, yes, obviously it is. Oh, okay. So, I have my good friend and moderator for the channel, Emmaus, on. He's going to present on the world being flat from the Islamic sources. And we have a pretty fun presentation. He's going to share, and I'm also going to share an image of what Muslims actually believe according to the Quran. So this is going to be fun. So you want to go ahead and jump into it? You want to introduce yourself at all, or you just want to jump into it?
We can just jump into it.
Okay.
So the Quran and flat earthism. I'm also going to have like some little bonus content from the hadiths at the very end. So before we jump in, it's important that everyone knows what ancient Near East cosmology is, because some of the Tafsirs are going to be referencing this. So in the ancient Near East, they believed in a flat earth that was floating on the waters of chaos. And then there's like a really hard dome, which is the sky. And then there's also waters on the other side of the sky, and that's where the rain comes from, is through holes in the solid dome. And there's water out there. Okay? And then even though it doesn't show it here in my picture, they would have like the throne of God above the waters. Okay. This is just what they believed. Like we can forgive them. This is just the worldview. Okay. So pay attention to some of the tafsirs, because it's very clear that some of them are going to have this worldview. So we're going to start with Surah 2:2. The Halali Khan renders it, "Who has made the earth a resting place for you, and the sky as a canopy, and sent down water, rain, from the sky, and brought forth therewith fruits as a provision for you? Then do not set up rivals unto Allah in worship, while you know that He alone has the right to be worshipped." Now, the controversy, there's going to be a whole family of these. Controversy centers around the word that is resting place, halal Khan. It's also commonly rendered as bed or couch. It uses the imagery of a Bedouin carpet bed and strongly implies that Allah has created the earth flat, like a carpet. You spread out a carpet that lay down on it, it's flat. Okay, that's the imagery that they're using. So, lest any Muslim wants to say that we are misrepresenting the Quran, I'm going to go and look at some tafsirs. So, most tafsirs I was able to find online, cursory look, don't explicitly mention the problems with the flat Earth, but there are a few that do. The modern tafsirs seem to follow Al-Razi and just saying it's phenomenological language. We have the Marif al-Quran as a representative of it. So, Al-Jalalain, the two Jalals, they say, "He who assigned to you created for you the earth for a couch, like a carpet that is laid out, neither extremely hard nor extremely soft, so to make it impossible to stand firm upon it." So again, carpet is laid out. That's the imagery. Ibn Kathir says, this is the abridged version, He made the earth a resting place for them, just like the bed. So again, Bedouin carpet bed, just like the bed, stable with firm mountains. So we've got extra details here that that's going to come up later too. The mountains are tent pegs; they're holding it down, so it doesn't shake.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoever gazes at the sky in its immensity, its expanse, and the various kinds of planets in it, some of which appear stationary in the sky. Whoever gazes at the seas that surround the land from all sides, and the mountains that were placed on the earth that stabilize it. Again, mountains as tent pegs, so that whoever lives on land, whatever their shape and color, are able to live and thrive. And then a modern example of someone who's trying to move away from this, Marif al-Quran. This person breaks down the problem. The Arabic word farash, meaning bed, which literally means something spread out, does not necessarily imply that the earth is not round. You can say, he's saying that this doesn't mean that. Why is he saying that? It's because you can, in fact, look at this and come to the conclusion that the earth is not round. That's what he's admitting here.
Yeah.
Okay, when he's saying you don't have to read it that way, you can read it that way. So, for the great globe of the earth, in spite of it being round, appears flat. So this is the move that Again, Al-Razi, as far as I can tell, popularized this.
For some context, real quick, this is the bed that it's being compared to most
Yes.
often. So these would be the type of beds that they're thinking about whenever you see spread out or like a bed, the Arabic literally means this. So this is what they would be sleeping on.
Literally a carpet.
A carpet, essentially.
You can think of
Literally
it kind of like a sleeping bag. It's like...
Yeah. You might have hay or something underneath it to make it not as hard, but they would literally just sleep on the ground on these to stay warm, but you don't really need to stay that warm because you're typically like cuddling or something naked in this tent area. But that's what it's talking about whenever it says bed.
Mm-hmm. So moving on from there, because again, there's a whole family of these verses. Surah 13:3, again the Hilali Khan, and it is he who spread out the earth and placed therein firm mountains and rivers of every kind of fruits, and made Zoljawain Ithnain. Pronunciation is probably horrible. Two in pairs, which a lot could be said about that because the interpretations about what that means is pretty hilarious too, because it's not clear. But he brings the night as a cover for the day. Verily, in these things there are ayah for people who reflect. So, as before, the imagery of the Quran implies the earth is flat by likening the earth to a carpet that has been spread flat on the ground. And now we've got an added detail from the Quran that the mountains are tent pegs. This is what Ibn Kathir was referring to earlier, and now we have it. So the mountains are tent pegs holding it down so that the earth doesn't fold up or fly off in the wind. Okay.
Which their tents literally had, like as I just showed, they have these tent pegs that are the wood pegs in the back, just holding down the carpet so it wouldn't, flutter up whenever the wind comes. So it's again using this imagery of what he would be sleeping in to describe what's happening with the earth and mountains.
So again, we don't want to misrepresent Islam if we can't help it. What did the Tafsir say? So classical Tafsirs look at this and then assume ancient Near East cosmology.
Yeah.
So Al-Jalain says, and then he sped out, extended flat the earth, and created therein firm mountains and rivers. Every fruit there's made in two kinds of every species. Right there, flat earth. Ibn Abbas says, and he it is who spread out the earth. He spread out the earth on water. Remember the picture I showed at the beginning? The ancient Near East cosmology, they think the earth is flat and it's floating. This is what Ibn Abbas is talking about. So he spread out the earth over the waters, placed their tethering firm hills, created the earth firm mountains as pillars. Why are the mountains pillars? Because in ancient Near East cosmology, they're holding up the solid dome of the sky. That's what Ibn Abbas is saying. Okay?
Yeah.
Now again, that's the classical ones. More modern Tafsirs are again following Al-Razi or saying phenomenological language. So Harvey Quran, the expression spread on the earth is not contradictory of it being round. Because each part of something very big and round appears to be, when looked at separately, nothing but the surface spread out. So again, phenomenological language, to be clear, the reason why the modern Tafsir is saying that this doesn't necessarily mean that the earth is not round. It's because it sounds an awful lot like the earth's flat.
Yep.
Okay? Surah 15:19. In the earth we have spread out, and have placed therein firm mountains, and caused to grow therein all kinds of things in due proportion. Al-Jalalain, commenting on this, says, in the earth we have stretched it out, spread it flat, and cast therein firm mountains, lest it should sway beneath its inhabitants, and cause to grow in there every kind of balanced thing, every kind of thing known and determined. So again, the mountains are tent pegs holding down the flat earth. That's what the two Jalals just said. Okay?
To keep it from blowing away, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
Or to keep it like stretched out and taut.
Yes. Ibn Abbas, again, tells us that the earth we have spread it out on water. So again, same worldview from Ibn Abbas.
So, Truth, real quick. He said he's in a lot of pain, so he can't keep watching. Do you want to pray for him real quick?
We can. Heavenly Father, we beseech you right now to send the Holy Spirit to help Truth is Still True, to remove the pain from them and to comfort them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. You healed, brother. Amen.
So, and again,
Right,
in the boss, continuing on, we place there of the earth, firm hills, firm mountains as poles. You want to bring up the picture again? As poles.
Yeah.
And caused each of the things. So the mountains are the poles of the
We have that as well.
The carpet tent. So
yeah, the carpet tent. These poles right in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. This is what this is the imagery from Ibn Abbas.
Yeah.
This is it.
Which does tie into the Near Eastern. So you see like the oceans and the seven heavens and the seven earths and the pillars and poles and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then at the very top, again, they have the throne of God.
Yeah, this is essentially what the Quran describes as heaven, is this.
Mm-hmm.
Including where the planets are inside of each orbit for the different heavens. Because they didn't know of all the planets at that time, because you can't see all the planets then. So this is how it's described, which we'll get to its source later. But yeah.
Surah 2053. Who has made earth for you like a bread, spread out, and has opened roads, ways, and paths for you therein, and has sent down water, rain, from the sky. We have brought forth with it various kinds of vegetation. So the Tafsirs that I had my cursory glance, I'm not saying that this was deep dive, super scholarly. The Tafsirs that I could find online don't have anything specific on this verse. But, vis-a-vis the flat earth things. But this is the same language as this entire family of verses. So,
same Arabic, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to move on to 43:10. Who has made for you the earth like a bed, and has made for you roads therein, in order that you may find your way. Al-Jalalain says, he who has made the earth a cradle for you, a flat resting place, like a child's cradle, and placed for you therein ways, routes, that perhaps you may be guided to your destinations during your travels. So again, earth is flat. Ibn Kathir says, this is the abridged version, who has made for you the earth like a bed, means smooth. Smooth. What does smooth mean?
Yeah. Flat.
Stable and firm, so that you can travel about in it, and stand on it, and sleep and walk about, even though it is created above water. Again, what was the ancient Near East cosmology?
Oh.
Yeah. So the earth is it's flat, it's smooth, and it's on the waters. But he has strengthened it with the mountains, lest it should shake. You've been there. Now, again, to be fair, modern exegetes don't read it this way. We have the Marif al-Quran. Has made the earth a cradle for you, meaning that the comfort provided by the earth is that of a cradle. Its apparent look of being a plain floor does not negate its being spherical. Again, the reason this guy is saying that is because this verse, if you just read it, sounds an awful lot like the earth is not a sphere.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about how important these tafsirs are and when they were relatively written?
So we can at the end, because I want to be clear here.
Okay.
As far as like standard Orthodox Islam, Jalalain is like one of the goats.
Yeah.
Like
was Ibn Kathir?
Yeah. Jalalain though, like they have like the special titles. So I'm not sure who is more important, but like to have Jalalain and Kathir and Ibn Kathir both saying this is it's just absolute shambles for your normal Orthodox, at least Sunni Islam. But again, I want to be fair. I'm just telling you what the tafsirs say. Okay. Surah 51:48. And we have spread out the earth. How excellent spreader thereof are we. Al-Jalalain says, in the earth we spread it out. We made it level. What does it mean to be made level?
To be flat.
I've worked construction a bit. I've had to use a level before. It's like, so Allah made the earth level. What excellent spreaders then we are. Ibn Abbas says, in the earth we laid out, again, on the water. So,
Yeah.
Ibn Abbas, bless him. We know what he believed. Really consistent there. So, and then Surah 71:19, and Allah has made for you the earth a wide expanse. Wide expanse is, again, the same sort of language, this whole family of them. Al-Jalain says, and God has made the earth a flat, open expanse for you. Ibn Kathir adds, and Allah has made for you the earth a wide expanse, meaning he spread it out, he leveled it, he settled it, and he stabilized it with firm and lofty mountains. So again, leveled, and then the mountains are holding it down. Okay? What Ibn Kathir is saying? We're just reading.
Which it's also worth noting that even if this is not saying that the earth is flat, it's at least saying that the mountains are sitting on top of the earth like a weight, which is that's not accurate whatsoever. So even if you want to
totally wrong.
Deny that scientific, it's still scientifically wrong.
Yeah, it's totally wrong geology. But
yeah,
to be clear, it's sounding an awful lot
like a flat earth.
Yeah.
Surah
88:20. And at the earth, how it is outspread. This is in like a list of a lot of things you're supposed to be amazed at. Al-Jalain says, quote, and the earth, how it was laid out flat, and thus infer from this the power of God, exalted be he in his wonders. The commencing with the mention of camels is because the camels are mentioned in the preceding verse, because they are closer in contact with the earth, than any other animal. As for his words, suahat, laid out flat, this on a literal reading suggests the earth, which is the opinion of most of the scholars of the revealed law. That's the people trained in Sharia. And not a sphere, as astronomers, Ahal al-Haya, have it, even if this latter does not contradict any of the pillars of the law.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, we just mentioned like the relative time frames. The two Jalals, Al-Jalain, they're basically happening at the same time as like the Protestant Reformation. They're in like the 1500s. So, 16th century. Christopher Columbus had already sailed to the other side of the world by this time. Maybe they didn't get the memo. But most of the lawyers of Sharia were flat earthers in the 16th century, according to Al-Jalain.
Which at that point, you have no reason at all to think that the earth is still flat. That debate's already kind of been settled in the West.
Well, yeah, because there's some people, not knowing any better, think that, Western Christians thought that the earth was flat at that time. They did not.
They did not.
They knew that it was round. That's why Columbus was sailing west, as he was trying to get to Japan.
Well, India, but
Sampagyu. It's like
he's trying to go around the other side because he didn't know there was any land there, so he's just trying to sail across that ocean to get to the other side of the world for spice trade. So
the question was whether they could carry enough food to make it. That's why, again, Western Christians had known for a couple centuries at that point that the earth was round and that it was in theory possible. It's just that since they didn't know that the what became known as the North and South American continents was over here, that they thought you would starve if you tried to sail that way.
So we have a Belia that says that's correct in the 90s, early 2000s, when I was in the mid-east sheikhs would go on local TV and say the earth is flat, which is wild.
I've seen reports of that too, where there's some people, some of the men who became leaders of certain of the jihad groups were very strong on the flat Earth, like extremely strong. Like they considered anybody who thought that the Earth was round to be like modernist and like borderline heretic. Which, okay.
That's amazing.
But anyway, so that's the two laws. Ibn Abbas, who I think, I don't know if we mentioned this, but this is going to be like this is the Tafsir of Ibn Abbas, who, if I remember right, that's Muhammad's nephew, cousin. Anyway, he's really important.
Yeah.
Like that. But anyway, again, the Earth, how it is spread out over water. All these are signs for them. So again, from Ibn Abbas, we get the ancient Near Eastern cosmology. He thinks the Earth is spread out over the waters. It means he thinks the Earth is flat. And then the clear, again, the British version. And at the Earth, how it is outspread, meaning how it has been spread out, extended, and made smooth.
Yeah.
Okay. That's Ibn Kathir.
Very consistent.
Yeah. Now, I've also wanted to mention a couple other ones where you can see the flat Earth stuff is just sort of assumed, even though it's not actually what the verse is directly related to. So, Surah 2:185, bit of a long one. The month of Ramadan, in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for mankind and clear proofs for the guidance, and the criterion between right and wrong. So whoever views sights the crescent of the first night of the month of Ramadan, i.e. is present at his home, he must observe Sawm, fasts, that month. And whoever is on a journey, same number of days, et cetera, et cetera. The point being is that the way that you determine what, when to celebrate Ramadan, when to start and when to end, is based off of observance of the moon. Okay? So, what happens then if you live in a part of the world where the sun does not set?
Yep.
Either in the far north or far south, like if you live like up in Alaska or up in Norway, or down in like the southern part of Argentina.
You literally have to starve to death, or I guess die of thirst.
They have the sun is just in the sky and it doesn't set for 8 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And then they'll have it the other way with the moon. So it's impossible to actually do Ramadan in these places.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, because the author of the Quran,
doing at least.
Yeah, it's because the author of the Quran, be that Allah, be that Muhammad, be that the companions, did not know that there were other time zones or other areas like that the Earth where the sun didn't set. That's how that happened. Yeah. They think the Earth is flat.
Which, if Allah is the author of the Quran, how is it that God doesn't know that there's a part of the planet that doesn't have the sunset?
Yeah.
Like, how does he not know that?
Or did Allah just never intend for the Muslims to live in those areas? Question mark?
Maybe. Like, everyone there is automatically damned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Good evening.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about the sun setting in a minute, by the way.
We're coming to that one. In fact, here it is. Surah 1886. Until when he reached the setting of the place of the sun, he found it sitting in a spring of black muddy or hot water. And he found near it a people. We, Allah, said by inspiration, "Oh, dual carnate." Either you punish them or treat them with kindness. Now, I would encourage everybody to read the story, like the entire story, because it's like this is of course
so good, man.
Yeah, this is of course the Alexander romance story about how Alexander the Great, the pagan, went and found the ends of the earth. And when I'm saying the ends of the earth, I'm talking about literally the end of the earth. He found the place, this spring that the sun goes into at night. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I'm going to be fair here. Most of the Tafsirs online that I could find interpret this in phenomenological language. I know of some that are in Arabic, that do not interpret it that way. In fact, I think I would encourage people to look up Jai and DOC Reloaded here on the YouTube, because I think that they've actually covered some of this stuff. in the past, if I remember right. But the only exception I could find was Ibn Abbas. So, everybody else is like being like, oh yeah, this is just talking about how they were at they just watched Alexander, the pagan, who was a good Muslim, watch the sun set into the Mediterranean Sea. That's what they say. Yeah. The one exception being Ibn Abbas, who says, till when we reached the setting place of the sun, where the sun sets, he found it setting in a muddy spring, a black and muddy and stinking spring. It's also said it means a hot spring. So again, Ibn Abbas seems to be taking it literally. To be fair there, I could be misreading Ibn Abbas, but he seems to be taking it literally. Also, I think that Muhammad's being totally literal too. I would agree.
I agree.
But, this is the story that said you can go read it and have a laugh, okay? And then I've also got a bonus hadith. Everybody loves the hadith. There's so many wild stories there. We could be here for days. Anyway, this is Sahih Muslim, 758b. Now, perhaps Sahih Muslim is not Sahih because Muslims always run away from their sources. But this one, quite famous. A lot of Muslims do not know what to make of this. Abu Hurairah reported Allah's messenger as saying, Allah descends every night to the lowest heaven when 1/3 of the first part of the night is over and says, I am the Lord, who is there to supplicate me so that I answer him? Who is there to beg of me so that I grant him? Who is there to beg forgiveness from me so that I forgive him? He continues like this till the day breaks. Since the earth is round, this would require Allah to be constantly going up and down in the sky. It's always the third part of the night somewhere.
Yep.
Since that is absurd, it is far more likely that Muhammad, by extension Allah, or perhaps the companions, whoever it was that wrote this hadith, thought that the earth was flat and that there was only one time zone, which was identical to the time in Arabia. Otherwise, you've got Allah going up and down. Doing that all night long. Not just all night long, but constantly. Like we should be able to see him.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't even be going up and down because he'd probably just be hovering at that location forever.
Well, but
also, if Allah's visible, if he's visible, you should be able to see him in the sky somewhere.
Yeah, but it says specifically he descends. So we could argue about what descends mean. There's a very famous debate between Jake the Muslim metaphysician and Khalil, which is last name Mamdani, the Shia fellow. Really famous debate between them where Jake got handed this exact hadith and choked. Choked hard.
Yeah.
But again, this hadith is assuming flat Earth. It's not necessarily teaching it, but it's just assuming it. This hadith only works if the Earth is flat. Okay.
Yeah. And if the sun goes into the Earth and comes back out of it.
Yeah, like there's other things from the Quran we could have pulled, but we're just covering this one, this stuff. Okay. So, does the Quran think the Earth is flat? I'm gonna go with the yes.
Yeah.
Which, if that's Allah's eternal speech, that means that Allah thinks the Earth is flat. Which means that Allah is ignorant, because the Earth is in fact a sphere.
Yep. And there is, the sun doesn't set, and there's more than one time zone, and boats float by themselves.
Yeah.
There's lots of issues with that.
Now,
yeah.
Again, I'm not pretending this is like the most scholarly, run through of all the sources. This is literally what I could find in an afternoon.
Oh, that's not
okay. Right. And it looks an awful lot like the Quran, Muhammad, the companions, and Allah thinks that the Earth is flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm going to hand it back over to you, Chris, if you have anything to add that you think I've missed.
Yeah. So there are the stars in the firmaments as well that are missiles to shoot down jinn, which is a whole lot of fun because Allah doesn't want the jinn to be able to listen to his like entourage discussing the plans of God because God apparently needs an entourage to discuss his plans. And we have the stars being specifically set to shoot down any Satan or jinn that are trying to approach the throne room in order to listen in on the conversations of God.
We got hadith on that too.
And
It's
it's
in
in
the
the Quran.
Quran something like
Yeah.
4 or 5 times, and there's
Yeah.
also like clear hadith where Muhammad definitely believed this.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Missile defense.
Also,
pew 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 pew.
You also have Mars being behind the sun and Saturn being behind the sun in this system, yet Mercury and Venus are before the sun. So you have not all the planets. You don't have Uranus or rest in peace Pluto. But you have the other planets, and the sun is not in the correct location, regardless of how you measure that. Which doesn't even make sense.
I don't think the moon would be either because like the moon
is on the second heaven. Oh yeah.
Well,
the first heaven has the stars.
So
yeah,
it's like
the first has the stars. Yeah. Interestingly, this idea comes directly from the Jews. So it's tying back into what I talked about last week and probably the week before that with, okay, where does this source actually come from? And the reality of it is that it comes from the Talmud, like everything lately. Let me increase the font size. Get rid of the translation. And then decrease the font size because that got way too big. Okay. So in Higa 2, so it is taught that woe to them, the creations who see and know not what they see, who stand and know not upon what they stand. So again, it's like cursed are those who don't understand the creation of God. And we have similar language in the Quran of the pagans. And he clarifies, upon what does the earth stand? Upon pillars, as it is stated, who shakes the earth out of its place and its pillars tremble. These pillars are positioned above water, as it is stated, to him who spread forth the earth over the waters. These waters stand upon mountains, as is stated, the waters stood upon the mountains. The mountains are above the wind. Mountains are upon the wind, as it is stated, for behold, he forms the mountains and creates the wind. The wind is upon a storm, as it stated, stormy wind fulfilled his word. The storm hangs upon the arm of the Holy One, blessed be he. Wow, man, I did every combination wrong before. As it is stated, and underneath are the everlasting arms. So we also have this idea that God is actively controlling, upholding, and lifting and keeping it in place. Which demonstrates that the entire world rests upon the arms of the Holy One, blessed be he. And the rabbis say, the earth stands on 12 pillars, as is stated. He sets the borders of the nations according to the number of the children of Israel. And it keeps going, and it's resting on 12 pillars. But these pillars are not visible. So these are invisible pillars that are holding up the firmaments. And there are 7 firmaments, and they are as follows. Then it lists them, and it lists where they are and what they do. So the first firmament doesn't contain anything, but enters at morning and departs in the evening. So it's part of the moving about of the sun and moon, and renews the act of creation daily. This is a similar language in the Islamic ideas. So who stretched out the heavens as a curtain and spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. So this is very similar language to what is being presented in the Quran, but it takes it even further and applies it directly to the Bedouin type carpet tents. So it's taking the idea of the curtain, the velan, and transmuting it into explicitly a flat earth. You could maybe interpret the Jewish understanding as a flat earth, but the Quran takes this idea of the 7 heavens, which we get in the Quran, and you also get the pillars of the earth holding it up. You get the body of water. You get the mountains on top of it. You get the whole idea of the cosmology here, and you have in the second heaven, the sun, moon, stars, and zodiac signs, the literal stars, are fixed in the lowest of the heavens. Then you have permanents on top of those still going outward. which is getting more and more esoteric, and then third heaven, that's where they ground the mana, like the meal for where they make mana, because they collect it off the dew of the ground. So it rains down from the third heaven, and then the fourth heaven, it is the heavenly abode of Jerusalem and the heavenly temple and the heavenly altar, and where Michael lives. So we get more and more abstract, not reality. But for whatever reason, the Quran takes this idea and turns it directly into the seven heavens with the stars and being missiles and all that kind of nonsense. But it is just capturing a Jewish idea, and again, like the world to come language, he extends a thread kindness over them in the world to come. So he has, if you just read through, if you just read all the Talmud, just starting from one end to the other, it is amazing how similar so much of the stuff is, and how much we can find directly from. And if I just keep reading, anyone who pauses from the words of the Torah to occupy himself with mundane conversation will be fed with the coals of the broom tree, as it is stated, they pluck saltwort with wormwood, and the roots of the broom tree are their food. This is likely where it's getting the idea of the zucchium tree with the little demon heads that they eat, and that burns their insides and then like kills them. You have all of that, and again, if you ignore the studying of scripture, you are going to be destroyed by the broom tree in Gehenna, is the idea. So if you pause from learning the Torah, you're going to hell, essentially. It's amazing. It's like, what?
So it's almost like we have kernels of historical truth from the Hadith and the Sirah literature that talk about Muhammad wanting to be the Gentile prophet. Like he saw himself as sort of like proto-Kabbalistic Jew, except he didn't want to be a Jew. He wanted to be a Gentile. He wanted to do like all the proto-Kabbalistic thing, Merkabah mysticism, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the ear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess the short version of that is the Quran teaches a flat earth, and it got it from the Jews. And it teaches seven heavens, and it got it from the Jews. And it teaches bad cosmology, and it adapted that from the Jews, but didn't get it directly from the Jews. And it has the pillars of heaven. So it has the just basic Near Eastern view of the world, but it also adds in seven earths and the seven heavens. So it's not just one firmament.
The one innovation is that because there were a couple of the Tafsirs that thought that the mountains were the pillars instead of invisible pillars. So,
sure. Yeah.
Maybe that's
so there might be some explanation for that, but most of the time you just get like the ring earth with the mountains, and it's sitting on water or other earths, which is also why Allah's called the Lord of the Worlds, unless they get that from other belief systems. But it appears to be just
there's an off chance they could have gotten that from Gnostics, because there were some Gnostics who held to a form of like multiverse theory.
Mm-hmm.
And there were
a lot of Gnostics today that hold that.
Yeah, like so there were some Gnostics running around in Arabia. The Quran even mentions a group of them, the Sabians, whoever they are. So they're believed to be some Gnostics. So there's an off chance that Muhammad picked that up from them. He's talking about multiverse stuff, which would be funny. But.
Yeah. There's so much in the Quran that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's amazing to me that if Allah is the author of the Quran, why does he get so much basic stuff wrong? You would think that if the creator of the universe was describing from his eternal speech, he would get things correct. Even if it's extremely dumbed down, it would at least be not in direct contradiction to what reality is whenever we discover it in the future.
If the Quran is what the Sunnis tell us it is, I'm not going to include the Shia because the Shia, admit that the Quran is created. But if the Sunnis are right, and the Quran is the eternal, uncreated speech of Allah that is recorded on the heavenly tablets. Why is it copying so much stuff that's from like known sources that we can point to?
Yeah.
Real question there. Like, why is it possible to do source criticism on the Quran? Because we can go and look at places and be like, we know exactly where that story came from, and produce the documents.
Yeah. I mean, you can make a case that if it is Allah revealing it, because the Quran repeatedly says that all it is just an Arabic recitation of the heavenly tablets. So every other community also has recitations in their own languages that fits their own culture of the heavenly tablets. If what the Quran is quoting from is just Allah's revelation to other groups, that's fine. The problem is it's copying from sources that aren't from revelation. So they're copying from the Greeks and from the Jews during the period of the Fatra. So whenever there's no revelation, so from Isa to Muhammad, we have hadiths in Bukhari
when it does
to
quote
show that can't happen.
Christian sources, Christian sometimes, air quotes there, it's quoting from like either like Gnostic source texts, or it's quoting from things that like even if Christians like would read them, that they were not known like forgeries and non-historicals. I'm thinking of like the Infancy Gospel of Thomas here. That's where Jesus made clay birds and brought them to life.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and it's also written during the period of the Fatra. Like you don't have guidance or revelation during that time period because Muhammad explicitly said there was not a single prophet between Isa and Muhammad, not a single one. So it can't be revelation. So why is Allah quoting from humans in his eternal book? And why is he quoting things that contradict the Gospels, the real Gospels,
So
as if it's true?
Well, what is the Injil? Can they even tell us?
Well, all of their early sources quote it.
Well, I know it's like
go through.
It's like early Muslims. They knew what the Injil was, and they told us. But
yeah, they quote from
it. Modern Muslims, all of a sudden, they're like, mystery document.
We can't possibly know what the Injil is because then Islam's false. Yeah. If you put forward any Injil, even if you want to do the Gnostic texts as the true Injil, most of the Gnostic texts still start with the header of Jesus is God, and then it goes into the story.
The Gnostics still affirm the deity of Christ. Now, we disagree with the Gnostics on what deity is, but but they still thought that Jesus was divine. Like they did not think that Jesus was a mere man. This is why they had a story about Jesus bringing clay birds to life, by the way, because only God can create. Why is that story in the Quran? It's like,
I mean, obviously, Jesus is not God in the Quran.
Yeah.
Even though he definitely is God in the Quran.
He just creates like Allah and judges like Allah and knows the last day, the time of the last day, like Allah.
Yep. He is the word of Allah. He's a spirit from Allah. He's the Messiah, and the Messianic language is God in the Old Testament and in the New Testament.
But Muslims don't know that. They don't know what Messiah means.
It's true, yeah. But, I mean, even if... Man, that's going to be one of the upcoming arguments I make, is who the Messiah actually is, according to the Bible. And it's according to the passages that they themselves agree on is Scripture. So just Torah and Psalms. That's all I'm going to use. You can prove
I've seen people mention this to Muslims before. And Muslims try to be like, well, the Jews don't think the Messiah is divine. Which is just not true. Like if you
they did for 1,000 years.
I mean, if you read any of the Targums, very clear they were expecting the Messiah to be divine in some sense. But even during the rabbinical period, there are big name rabbis who looked at a lot of the same places that Christians look to find divine Messiah, and said divine Messiah, but it's just not Jesus of Nazareth.
Yep. Yeah, Rabbi Akiva had something similar for Daniel 7. Rav had something similar for the eternal word of Messiah. So, like, the Talmud talks about how the name of the Messiah was before creation. So the name of the not the word Messiah, but the name of the man who is the Messiah, that name existed before God created the earth.
Which, by the way, that follows from that the Messiah is uncreated.
Yep.
And the Messiah is not a creature. What is Messiah?
God.
Yeah,
Or
there's only two
uncreated.
categories,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Created or uncreated. You also have that his light is before creation. That the spirit that was hovering over the waters in Genesis 1-2 is actually the Messiah. You get that his light is currently under the throne room of heaven and it will be revealed on his coming on the clouds. You have that Satan bows down to the Messiah and worships him and knows that he's going to be destroyed by him. You also have, even in the Zohar, an identification that Isaiah 53 is about Messiah and it elevates him to a savior. So even in like the later time period mystical Jewish sects, they're still affirming the Messiah is the suffering servant of Isaiah 53 and that he's God in a bunch of different ways. So the Jews, for at least 1100 years, believed from like Second Temple period to medieval, so like around 1100 AD, right before the time of Rashi, basically. The Jews almost universally accept and believe that Isaiah 53 is about the Messiah. And a lot of the time they will admit that the Messiah is God, which is why you get people like Philo talking about the Logos, the divine Logos, who is part of the he is the creator of the universe. So like John 1 is just borrowing the language of the Jews. It's not inventing anything new. It's just quoting the Jewish sources.
It's channeling the Targums straight up. And
Yeah.
once you know it, like once you read a couple of the Targums and know that, like it's quite obvious that's what John is doing. John is he's the controversial thing in what Jews at the time of when John wrote it, what Jews would have considered controversial, is not John 1:1 or John 1:2, where it's talked about the Trinity verses. It's the incarnation verses. It's down when it gets to verse 14 when it says that the Word became flesh. That's the controversial stuff. But all of the multi-personal stuff, straight out of the Targums, almost word for word. Like
if you read Targum Jonathan, so that was contemporary to Jesus. It was written. The oral cultural for it from it comes from 50 BC, and then it was roughly compiled by 50 AD. So it would have been pre-Christian, and it would have been what was circulating in the synagogues at the time of Christ. And if you read Isaiah in Targum Jonathan, especially like Isaiah 48, you get in 48:12 that the Memra of Yahweh is the creator of the universe, and he's a personal agent that's going to save his children.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Memra is Aramaic for word.
Yeah, it's this. You can translate it into logos in Greek. So, like in the beginning, the Word was with God, the Word was God. That's directly from the Targums that were circulating at the time of Jesus. Not even the later Targums, like Pseudo Jonathan. Like Neophiti was written later, but its origin is before that. But like, all of the early ones we have, other than Onkelos, still has this divine word that is circulating. Even Onkelos still personifies the Memra at times. It's not nearly as explicit as the later ones like Neophiti or Jonathan. But that's the earliest Targum, and it's in Aramaic, and it is roughly before the time of Jesus, or right at the time of Jesus. And it still has this Memra is God, or Memra is other yet part of God idea. And from there, every other Targum kind of spawns and is developing that idea. So whenever Jesus comes, he's meeting the expectation of the Jews to be God and Messiah. So it's not like it's a whole new sale. Like Jesus was this countercultural thing that every single thing he taught was off the cuff and no Jew would have ever expected it. A lot of what he was teaching was just what the Jews were saying. But he's like, hey, all that stuff you've been talking about for the last like 100 years, it's me. And then he had the miracles to back it up. So he was teaching Judaism proper and then backing it up by miracles. And modern day Jews have to like say, hey, he's making it up.
Yeah.
None of that's
This
real.
is why there's not that many of them. I'll grant you that. But this is why there are a couple of notable Jewish scholars and rabbis who have said, yes, Jesus is the Messiah. He's just not the Messiah to the Jews. He's the Messiah to the Gentiles. I don't know if you've seen that, but like,
I haven't seen that, no.
like because one of them, he's the guy. He was the president of like the Hebrew University in Israel, and he again because you go and investigate, like you do the same kind of stuff that apologists do, where we do like a argument for gospel reliability. You have to investigate the miracles, investigate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Well, he did that, came to the conclusion that Yahweh, the God of Israel, raised Jesus of Nazareth from the dead. But he did not want to become Christian, and that's how he got around from being Christian. Is that he absolutely concedes that Yahweh rose Jesus from the dead, but that's because Jesus is the Messiah to the Gentiles. I know of at least three that take that view.
So there is this idea of the Messiah ben Ephraim, who is like this Messiah. So there's three different sons of who are Messiah. So like the son of David is the messianic king who's going to reign and rule. The son of Joseph is the suffering servant who's going to die for sins at the battle of Gog and Magog.
That's an odd name for a father. It's not like that. There's a messianic figure who was raised by a man named Joseph.
Yeah, man. If only Jesus' dad and his name was Joseph from the line of David.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, you also have Messiah's son of Ephraim, who sometimes is basically just a stand-in for Joseph, and sometimes he's actually the divine Messiah. He is like the eternal spirit of God that is hovering over the waters in Genesis 1. So you have these different ideas of who the Messiah is, and if there's multiple Messiahs inside of the Jewish literature. So I guess that view could be like, hey, he was Messiah, son of Ephraim, but he's not Messiah, son of David. He was the Messiah to the Gentiles, but not the Messiah to the Jews. But even then, that still discounts every single prophecy that doesn't really clearly distinguish those figures. Especially because in Isaiah, which is about the servant songs, it says the throne of David.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have Davidic ideas inside of the suffering servant passages.
And Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, explicitly identifies himself as the Davidic Messiah. Because, again, you could read it in Mark, which granting Mark and priority here. You can flip to the end of Mark, read about the high priest puts Jesus under oath and asks him who he is, and he quotes Daniel 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an explicit claim to be the Davidic Messiah.
Mm-hmm. The
That
high
Messiah,
ruling one. Yeah.
That Messiah who rides on the clouds. Which, by the way, guess who the Psalms say is the only one being that rides the clouds?
Yahweh. Yeah. Yeah. The Messiah is definitely God in the Bible, which makes the Quran even more unbelievable whenever in Surah 3, it says that Jesus is the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get past that. If you are admitting that Jesus is the Messiah, and if it admits that the Torah was sent to the children of Israel, and that it was authoritative in the time of Muhammad, and most Jews actually affirm that the Torah is the Torah. So they question what's the Injil. But a lot of the times they'll admit that the Torah is the Torah. Well, you can show in the Torah a divine Messiah, or a multi-personal God with the angel of Yahweh, or theophanies. Like, the theology doesn't work whatsoever, but even with who the Messiah is in like Genesis 12, Genesis 22, who's a blessing to the whole world, how is the Isa of Islam a blessing to the whole world?
What did the Isa of Islam even do that was like meaningful? Because like this is an irk that I have with one of many with the Dawagandists. Is that they'll say that they respect and revere Jesus just as much, if not more, than we do. But what
Yeah.
do they think that Jesus actually did? Think about that for a minute. They think that Jesus came, preached mere monotheism to a bunch of monotheistic Jews, pieced out, and then had his entire operation hijacked by his followers? Question mark. Even though the Quran says that all of his disciples were like faithful and helped spread the message. Again, a
Well,
lot
if
of
they
them
say
try to
it's
skip.
Paul,
Well,
if they say it's Paul, then you could say it's the enemy of Jesus. But even then, how could Jesus' enemy
the problem with
overtake him?
saying that it's Paul is that their classical exegetes actually really liked Paul and said that Paul was a Rasul.
A prophet.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know what Rasul is, he's a prophet.
Yeah,
So,
like because there's one of the surahs that says that speaking of the city of Antioch, that they sent 3 Rasuls there. And if you like, well, who are that supposed to be? Well, if you go into the classical Tafsirs, they'll tell you that it was Peter, John, and Paul, I think.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Paul's Rasul, according to their earliest sources. So,
and that would also contradict their idea that there was no prophet between Isa and Muhammad.
Yeah.
Or no messenger, no Rasul.
Yeah. So somebody corrupted, Jesus's message, such that there was basically nothing in between, 33 AD and Muhammad. Even though there's supposed to be something. I mean, Allah claims that he made the followers of Jesus uppermost.
Yeah.
Like a channel Testify Apologetics has got an entire series asking for Muslims to point to somebody, anybody, in between, the time of Christ and the time of Muhammad. That's supposed to be these faithful Muslim Christians. Where are they?
The Edomites, or no, the Ebionites.
But a lot of them denied the virgin birth, which means that they're not Muslim because Muslims believe in the virgin birth. They also thought that anybody could be a Christ. They believed in like a version of like Christ consciousness stuff, where like the Christ was like a spirit that came down from heaven and could possess people. Kind of weird.
Yeah, like the modern progressive Christians. Yeah.
So I mean,
it's so much wrong, man. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
It's like they're like a water bucket that's shot full of holes, and they're trying desperately with their fingers to plug up the holes, but it's like the more you try to plug, the more it leaks elsewhere. It's like
yeah. Nah, man, Dawa has been ruined so badly by the internet. I mean, it's amazing how long it worked. Like for, I don't know, 100 years, 200 years in the West, they were getting footholds intellectually that people are just like, yeah, that's fine. And then just like overnight, like in the 80s and 90s was like the heyday of Dawa. You saw so many people convert to Islam, and all of them are leaving.
I mean, Ahmed Deedat legitimately had a lot of Christian sweat.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some of the people that would write about him back in the 80s. A lot of people really had a lot of them sweating. Pretty much every argument he ever made has been absolutely debunked.
Thoroughly.
And when I say absolutely debunked, I mean like he's basically a fraud level of debunked. Like he made arguments that he had to know were lies when he made them, type deal. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like I've heard David Wood make this point. It's like with these Dawa people, it's like they lie so freely, not just to us but to their own people, that you would expect the Muslims to wake up one day and be like, "Hey, these people lie to me all the time. Why do I listen to them?" It never seems to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think happened to Muhammad Hijab. Whenever he realized that the Quran was not perfectly preserved. So the lie that he was taught, that he believed in, that gave him, his iman, his faith, that crumbled. So, oh, what I was believing in was a lie. It's not true.
Because like
What do I
this is
do?
what this is what had like the whole holes in the narrative crisis that they had. But again, all of this happened because Muhammad Ajab had a crisis of faith. Brother, I have doubts. It's like
Well,
he had a
doubts,
crisis.
man.
Yeah, it's like he had a crisis of faith, and he decided he was going to ask what is, quite frankly, like the best scholar that they have in the West, because he's from both
Yep.
worlds. He's from not only is he from was it Al Azhar University, but he's from Harvard, like Yasser Qadi.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Like again, he asked one of their best scholars about this, and Yasser Qadi, forgetting that he was supposed to do taqiyya at all times, accidentally tells the truth, and there's all the fallout from that.
Yeah.
Which again,
It's amazing.
Sakata doesn't say anything new when he says like there's holes in the narrative. I mean, anyone can open up the Hadith collections and read about how Uthman burned all the variant Qurans, and you can read about how it's definitely not problems with dialect because it was people from the same tribe who were reading the Quran differently and reciting it differently. So whatever it was, it's not dialect, people. That's not what they were burning. Okay.
Yeah. I love the modern Sheikh that I need to memorize his name. But he makes the claim that there are for sure false recitations inside of the Hafs version of the Quran. So the Quran that 90% of Muslims read is the Hafs, and then the other like 9% read the Warsh, and then there's a bunch of like little outskirts that read the other Qirats. But the Hafs has this rendering of the beast that comes out of the earth, and it says that they spoke to the people. And the Sheikh is like, well, that's idiotic. It should not be spoke to them, it should be destroyed them. And it's the same rasm, it's just different vowels. So he's like, this is an obvious case where the Hafs is perfectly incorrect. And that another, it's not even the Warsh Kirat either. It's like it's like a rendering of the text that pretty much none of the Kirat have. So he's saying that every Kirat, every like official of the 10 official Kirat, all of them are wrong, and this is the proper understanding of the text.
And again,
Which
it's
is that
like
the
the
beast
more
destroys
you
everyone.
look into like the textual issues of the Quran, the uglier and uglier it gets because they don't have a text critical apparatus. So there's no way as of yet to determine what the original readings, or at least the Uthmanic readings. I'm not sure if we can reach beyond Uthman because they burned most of it. There's some stuff that we have reports on that's pre-Uthmanic because there's some of the Tafsirs that apparently had pre-Uthmanic Qurans because they would talk about how this companion or that companion in their personal Quran had entire ayahs that are not in the Uthmanic Codex. Not just different readings, entire ayahs. Okay.
Yeah. If you go through Santa 1, the pamphlet set that was found in Sana, Sana, however you pronounce it, that has a upper layer and a lower layer to the text, and the lower layer actually is pre-Uthmanic. So I think it has the majority of the Quran, if I'm remembering correctly. It's a large percentage
something like
of it.
67, 68%, something like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the readings are different.
Yeah, and very different in some cases.
Yeah. But and I've mentioned it before, but like we actually do have Christians who talked about witnessing the Muslims run around and burn all their own books. In fact, I think it's Al-Kindi. This is not Al-Kindi, the Muslim philosopher. This is the Christian Al-Kindi, probably his cousin. But anyway, the Christian Al-Kindi passes along reports, in his apologetic against Islam, that they knew and had that the Muslims in their area took all of their Qurans they had written out on animal skins and boiled them until you couldn't read them anymore at the time of Islam.
Yeah.
So Like it's like
Textual corruption.
yeah. So it's like
Intentional corruption.
and once you do that, you don't really have any ability to determine what the original readings are anymore, which is
Yep.
problematic because there's stuff in the Quran that don't even make sense if we're supposed to believe that Muhammad said it. For example, Muhammad is in the Hijaz. Why is Muhammad saying that the people of Mecca can take a casual stroll into the desert and go look at the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah? Sodom and Gomorrah are up in the Levant. They're in the Jordan Valley.
Mm-hmm. Hundreds of miles away.
Yeah. Why is that there?
Yeah.
Or another one, again, Muhammad, he's in the Hijaz, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia doesn't have any natural ports. Yet there's a passage in the Quran that says that the people of Mecca watch the ships come into the harbor.
Mm-hmm.
What harbor?
Yeah. There's also a lot of comments about how you watch ships float, and that's how a proof of a law.
Yeah.
So that's one of the most common proofs of a law is that ships float.
Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense if Muhammad's actually in the Hijaz. Now, I'm not actually a Muhammad mythicist, but these are the kind of things that Muhammad mythicists point at and be like, well, obviously Muhammad didn't write this. This could be evidence of textual corruption from Uthman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, because this is the kind of stuff that happens when you have widespread redactions.
Yeah. You also have that there is a fresh sea and a salty sea that you grab ornaments from and you eat meat from.
Mm-hmm.
So they are fishing and they're able to collect pearls and clamshells from this body of water.
The nearest
there's no fresh water
is the Sea of Galilee.
Yes, in the Levant, above Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually a surprising amount of evidence that it was written in or near Jerusalem. And also there's the whole idea of the Jewish writing of it, because it claimed it copies from so many Jewish sources that there's this conspiracy theory that it was the Jews that wrote the Quran, and it's just a compilation of Jewish things. And then Muhammad came about, he found it, and then he started a religion with it. So he had this personal book with him that he went wherever he went and just copied from it orally as he was thinking he recited it the best he could.
Now, to be fair, there are huge swaths of the Quran that are copied almost word for word at times from Talmudic, and other Jewish sources. You yourself have covered how the story about Solomon and the Queen of Sheba is ripped directly from the Targum of Esther.
Yes.
If anyone
word for word,
yet, please check that out. I mean, it's quite literally that you had to have a text in front of them to copy it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's some people that have thought that maybe the Jews did help him a bit. This is not an anti-Semitic thing, but it's the Jews didn't like the Christians and were wanting to have an ally in Yathrib, what later became Medina, and they saw this upstart Muhammad as a guy that they could ally with, and they might have helped him along a bit. And this is why Muhammad says the Jews totally like me, they're telling me I'm in their scriptures, and then he says that they turn on him. It's because there might have actually been some of them that was buttering him up because they were wanting an ally. And then when they realized, oh wait, this guy turns out he's actually worse than the ones that we were hoping he was helping us with.
That might also be where Isa comes from, because that's not actually Jesus' name in Arabic.
It's Esau.
Yeah, it's Esau. Which, I mean, if the Jews are hating the Christians and they're insulting Jesus, they would call him Esau as an insult, because Esau is not part of the covenant. So they're basically denying him as Messiah, and they're saying that he's not even Jewish by calling him Esau. And it's similar to how some Jews polemically call Jesus Yeshu, which is insult. It's a curse. So some Jews today, Orthodox Jews, still call him Yeshu, which is interesting. If you watch So Be It, whenever they're talking to Jews on the street, they're like, "Oh yeah, Yeshua," and he's like, "Yeah, well his name is Yeshua." Like they sometimes they correct him, but other times they just like work through it and just show them, and then they say it correctly. But it's interesting that the Jews have always kind of insulted Jesus by changing his name. And why is it that the Quran gets his name wrong? Which is amazing. Why does Allah get the name of his prophet wrong and it appears to be an insult?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that Allah gets so many things wrong, so many basic things wrong? It's amazing. Why is there crucifixion in the time of Pharaoh?
Well, crucifixion is at the time of Pharaoh. Haman, the Persian,
Amen. Yeah.
is there for some reason.
1,000 years before Persia existed.
Yeah. A Samaritan helps build the golden calf.
Yeah.
Hundreds of years before the
Samael.
Samaritan peoples even exist. Although, to be fair, that might be a corruption of the name of the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't,
that's what the Jews called him.
Yeah. If you know, you know. Then Muhammad and Allah deny the crucifixion, or at least appear to. You know, I am aware that there's like a minority view that tries to say no, like Jesus was crucified, he just didn't die. Which
is ridiculous. That's
somehow
that's worse than saying it didn't happen. Yeah,
like, somehow that's even worse. Because if you didn't know, there are zero examples ever of someone undergoing full crucifixion and living.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. We do have a couple of records from Josephus of people who went, some of his friends went through partial crucifixion because they nailed them up on the crosses, and then Josephus was like, "Those are friends of mine." He tried to save them. 2 out of 3 died.
Yeah, one of them lived, who was only scourged.
Yeah,
he wasn't actually nailed.
So
yeah,
I mean, like, to say that he's crucified but lived is somehow worse than saying that he was not crucified. Like it's bad.
There are some Muslims, very, 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 very tiny minority, who actually affirm the death of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, you know, the Bible or the Quran says that he caused me to die.
Yeah, well, so to be fair, it happens twice. Like it says that it has there's the verse that says that Allah causes Jesus to die, and then there's like the verse where Jesus says, "Blessed is the day of my death, and then the day of my resurrection." Mm-hmm. It seems to be chronological. It's the exact same sequence, by the way, with John the Baptist, just a few ayahs later. Exact same wording, same sequence. So again, I would just say that the Quran is just being contradictory there, but you know, whatever. You know, there's something strange going on there. Then you've got like Muhammad does not know what the Trinity is. He thinks he does.
Yeah.
He thinks it's heavenly. He thinks it's heavenly mommy and heavenly daddy and heavenly Jesus Christ, because he thinks that Mary is a member of the Trinity. No Christian ever at any time, even with all of the abuses of like Mariology and stuff, no Christian has ever at any time thought that Mary was a member of the Trinity. Ever.
Yeah. The closest you get is the Sophia stuff, and maybe equating Sophia with Mary.
Yeah.
But even then, it doesn't work.
And then also the Quran claims the Jews worship Ezra.
Yeah.
And the Hadith strengthen it and double down because they say that the reason why most of the Jews are going to go to hell is because they worship Ezra.
Yeah. Which no Jews ever said.
Yeah. Find a Jew anywhere that has worshipped Ezra.
A singular Jew. You don't even need to find a group. Just find a single Jew on the planet.
A single one
that's ever worshipped him as God. It doesn't exist. The closest you get is the Talmud that has them worshiping Metatron. But even then, that's not Ezra.
Yeah, but
and you have to stretch it.
I mean,
you have to stretch it, and you have to change the name.
Yeah, Metatron is like Enoch, and like the book of Enoch. So like, that's the closest that they would have, and I'm not even sure if the Jews would even be carrying that around then. Some of the Christians would have it.
Well,
The
it's
Ethiopians would
it's
have it.
in the same passage that the Quran quotes from and for other doctrines. So we know that it is copying from that book, from that section, from the tractate. Uh, so it getting the idea of them worshiping something other than God probably comes from there because it's quoting from other parts of that section.
But
Uh, now,
Metatron is God, or kind of like it's complicated.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the way it is
Uh,
worded in the Talmud in that section is that he's not actually God. He's an angel with the book, with the pen and the book that writes down every action on the planet,
yeah.
and he's in the throne room sitting in front of God writing.
Mm-hmm. If anybody's watching and you have no idea what we're talking about, Metatron is the name of the angel of Yahweh in some of the Jewish mystical texts. And
Yeah.
just like how we, as Christians, read in the Old Testament and realize that the angel of Yahweh is divine, a lot of these Jews did the same thing, and so they would have Metatron as a divine person. This gets into like your two powers in heaven stuff. Now, it's not always orthodox though. A lot of this is more reflective of Arianism, because they would still say that the Metatron was created. But this is the kind of ideas that are floating around with these texts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's pretty dumb. And the Quran's copying them wholesale. And it's using these broken man-made texts to create their own broken man-made doctrine. It's pretty incredible. I'm still not even convinced they actually knew what the Bible was. Even though he uses kitab, and that's probably what the word for Bible was, but
I don't think he knew either. He just referenced. He must have just thought that whatever book they were carrying around was the Bible, because again, Bible, Biblios, book.
Yeah.
And it could be a number of things that he's referring to. Sometimes he seems to be referring to the Torah. Sometimes he seems to be referring to the Evangelion, the fourfold gospel, because the Christians at the time would have the four gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, bound together. Might be the Diatessaron.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's more of like Evangelion, or maybe the Syriac version of the Evangelion.
I think it would be probably the Syriac, just based on some of the wording is very similar. But even then, like, we have it quoted directly from like Ibn Ishaq. He quotes John.
Oh yeah,
and applies it of
Ibn
Muhammad.
Ishaq, Life of Muhammad, straight up just says the Injil is the Gospel of John.
Yeah.
Which,
well, he says that it's a part of it.
If you're going to quote the Injil, quoting from John, bold move.
Well, ironically, so Ibn Ishaq, for those who don't know, because we keep using phrases that we're not actually defining them. So Ibn Ishaq is the earliest biography of Muhammad, written
of Muhammad,
around.
It's published by Oxford, translated by Gulian. It's the earliest extant biography of Muhammad. There were actually earlier ones that Ibn Ishaq mentions in his preface. Curiously enough, and he removed a lot of the stuff that he thought was too wild to include. Now, I don't think that a lot of these stories are lost completely, because I think they show up in other biographies. Like a lot of the stuff that I think that Ibn Ishaq was looking at and was like, ugh, I think shows up in Al-Tabari. Because Al-Tabari, bless his heart,
there's some crazy.
Was a true
stuff,
believer enough. He would just record it, man. God bless people like that. I mean, because that's how you really find out about the juice, you know. But
man.
But anyway, there's two early biographers that are the most important in terms of getting like a real, or as close to a real biography of Muhammad that we can get. That's Ibn Ishaq, Life of Muhammad, and then Wakiki, who's like the Wars of Muhammad, the Battles of Muhammad.
Yeah. And interestingly, the reason why Ibn Ishaq is quoting from John is he's trying to give legitimacy to Muhammad. Like, hey, he's found in the scriptures, he is the Holy Spirit, the advocate given to Jesus. That's actually the apologetic, if I remember correctly. That's the apologetic in Ibn Ishaq, in the
Mhm.
life of Muhammad. That they're using the exact same thing that apologists still use today to show that Muhammad's prophesied in the Bible,
In fact,
but
if I
it's
remember right,
quoting John as the Injil.
Ibn Ishaq is actually one of these that asserts, without any textual evidence, mind you, that the word that is translated as comforter, paraclete, is actually
Is Muhammad.
parakletos. I'm not Greek, but
Yeah.
it's the word that means that it's a word that in Greek that has the same rough meaning as Muhammad.
Yeah.
Or Kletos.
He tries to make it mean it's either Ahmed or Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he tries to get it directly to mean those. And it just doesn't work. But because he just outright quotes it as scripture, you can't really get past that.
Mm-hmm.
All the
Well,
Muslims today who don't know what the Injil is, if you
this is one
point
of
to the
the well, again.
Tafsir,
This gets into the Islamic dilemma because it just is a fact that the Quran's apologetic for itself is that it affirms the previous scriptures of the Jews and Christians and that Muhammad can be found there.
yeah,
So if we look into our confirmed authoritative scriptures and don't find Muhammad, Islam's a false religion. The Quran's a false book. And if you say, well, our scriptures have been corrupted, well, then you have no way of confirming Islam. Because
hmm
the
that
apologetic,
was the proof Allah
yeah,
gave.
the proof, according to Allah and the Quran, is that our scriptures are confirmed and Muhammad is there. So either there is no
hmm
proof for the truthfulness of Islam or Islam is false.
Yeah, which either way, Islam would be false.
Yeah.
Because if you can't verify it, then why believe it? Why
Yeah.
trust it? Especially
There's no
why
proof.
trust it for your eternal salvation?
Yeah, like if there's no proof for it, again, you have at best fideism, which is just like you just hopeful and wishful thinking. And
Yeah,
why would you do that? Especially
exactly.
since Christianity exists and we actually have strong, actual evidence-based reasons to affirm our faith.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't have
There's
to
one
just
guy. There's one guy earlier who's like, why do people choose religion over measurable like why do you choose religion over science?
why not both?
And
That's a
it's
false
just
dichotomy, friend.
yeah,
Sean,
literally why not
that's a
both?
false dichotomy.
Yeah. But like because there is supernatural like Jesus's resurrection. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
In fact, Sean,
creation.
if you can bring it back up, Sean, if you're still watching, the only reason why you have science is because of Christianity. I'm not making this up. The Christian worldview creates science because the Christian worldview says that there is an intelligent being that created everything using laws, okay, that can be
Yeah.
measured, known, and understood. There's a reason why polytheists did not succeed in making modern science because they have a bunch of warring gods that are always messing with things. There's a reason why the Hindus never succeeded in making modern science. Same problem. There's a reason why Islam is explicitly anti-science. Okay, because they think that everything is
And
God's will.
anti-just.
So, yeah, Allah can just change everything at His will. Okay, Christianity uniquely sets up the worldview that can create science. And don't just take my word for it. I realize you don't know anything about me, but Michael Jones over at Inspiring Philosophy has actually recently put out a video, 30 minutes. You can go watch it, laying out all the evidence for this. No Christianity, no science.
Yeah. Yeah. Every single church father was a Christian. Not every church father. Every single father a scientific discipline was a Christian.
Yeah.
The only one you might be able to say wasn't was Charles Darwin,
but
he was a
Charles
theist
Darwin
early
was a
on.
Christian when he came up with evolution.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this.
It's true.
Charles Darwin became an atheist later in life, not because of evolution. He was a Christian the entire time he was developing that idea. He became an atheist because his daughter died, and he was mad at God.
Problem of evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem of evil, problem of suffering, is what made Charles Darwin an atheist, not evolution.
Yeah, his first edition of On Origin of Species ends with a prayer to God,
Mm.
which a lot of people don't know.
Mhm.
And it was later taken out. It was
Yeah,
redacted.
he was known at his time as like a great Christian scientist.
Yeah.
There's actually a book written by a Baptist preacher back then by the name of Clifford, who again, just like has like just a a bunch of mini biographies over famous men of science who happen to be Christians, and Charles Darwin made the cut. Like,
yeah,
fact check me on that, please.
amazing. Yeah.
But,
So you have Christianity that encourages reason, and because we have a moral lawgiver, they expected us to have a natural lawgiver. So Christianity prompted people to expect the natural order to make sense, to be able to be rationalized. So they went out and they tested things like, oh yeah, things happen for a reason. They happen pretty consistently. So let's
and
just
we
keep
also
doing
have
this. And then it
we also
developed
have the
into
doctrine
science.
of the fall, which says that because as a consequence of the fall, we can get things wrong. Like we are fallible beings. So you have
Yeah.
to repeat things and get data. You can't just assume or do it once. Again,
Yeah.
again, this is why, like, again, scientific method comes out of the Christian worldview. The guy who created it was a Christian. I forget his name. It's like the 1500s.
Yeah. On the flip side, you get Islam, which is it's haram to do science,
Mhm.
according to Al-Ghazi,
Uh,
or
they
if I'm
only
remembering his name correctly.
they only did the amount of math and science that they needed in order to make weapons to do jihad.
Yeah.
Anything beyond
And
that,
you also can't do
haram.
chess.
Yeah.
Chess is haram.
Yeah, just as haram.
Yeah. So dumb, man.
It's just such a soul Christian religion, isn't it? I mean, like, you can't draw anything. Yeah. Art is forbidden. Scientific inquiry is forbidden. Music is forbidden. I mean, it's just such a soul crushing system.
Yeah. I mean, I don't drink alcohol, but alcohol is forbidden as well. So, even God gave us alcohol as a gift. It says in the scriptures.
Even says that in the Quran, hilariously enough. I mean, like,
yeah, it does. So there's 4 different verses on wine in the Quran, and whether it's good or bad. 2 of them are positive, and 2 of them are neutral / slightly negative. None of them are like, yeah, you shouldn't do it until the very last one, and it's like, maybe if you have the option to not do it, don't do it. It's kind of hand wavy. The Hadith get way more anti-alcoholic, which is interesting, and people who are mythicists use that to be like, oh, well, obviously the Hadith come centuries later, therefore it's just made up, and people made up whatever they wanted in an isnad chain in the name of Muhammad in order to justify whatever cult-like practices they wanted to have at the time. And yeah, Islam only contributes to 0.5% of the world's Nobel Prize winners. Yeah, Jews and Christians make up the vast majority of it. But you're getting a lot more Hindus because of India becoming more and more of a science powerhouse, because they're not afraid to use nuclear power and everything else that America is not willing to do. But yeah, the vast majority of the world's most intelligent people who've created most of the technology we see on the planet has been Jews and Christians. Islam has destroyed more technology than they've created. They've destroyed more civilizations than they've created. They are the only religion on the planet that is positively associated with an increase in violence in the world whenever a culture adopts Islam. Mm-hmm. The only one. Why?
Well, there are several possible answers to that. None of them are good for Islam. But like, I would just love to know, like, what is the positive reason to join Islam at this point? Because like I've been seeing a lot of bomb throwing at the Christians. They they try to tear other religions down. That doesn't mean that Islam is true. What is the positive argument for Islam? Is there one? Is the fact that there isn't a positive argument for Islam bother anybody? Like in that camp?
You would think, yeah, you're accused of being a Jew by a Muslim.
I myself am not a Hebrew, but I have nothing against the Hebrews. But
Same. Yeah. Uh, Ani lo ivrit, but I like the language, like the people. He has a Jewish face. Apparently, he looked Jewish. Okay. Yeah. No, Islam. I don't understand why people still join it, and I get the. It's like a similar reason to why people join any of the cults or like Calvinism. It's people. Someone presents you an intellectual case for it, and you're impressed by it. Therefore, you give it a try, which is why the revert rate is 80% for those who convert to Islam. 80% of them within 2 years leave Islam. So they can't actually keep their converts. The vast majority of them end up leaving. But even with that, I still don't get why the 20% would stay or why 100% of them would even go to begin with. Why anyone would do the Shahada. Like I get so like there's this interesting thing that they were doing in the UK where they were kind of like hanging out around bars waiting for drunk people to come out of it and then try to convince them to do the Shahada on the street while drunk.
which real question?
Because
It's not even a legitimate shahada, even according to their own rules. Like
it depends on the sect, but I think if you say a Shahada at all, you're automatically a Muslim.
it's like because I know there's like special requirements. Like if me and you right now mockingly said the shahada, we would not be Muslims. Or if we just said what the shahada was, but or they don't actually believe in it, we wouldn't be Muslims. So like waylaying drunk people, like does that actually count? Question mark.
Well, I mean, if they're not doing it mockingly and they're actually like trying to do it, I don't think they're, of sober mind to be able to actually make that decision. But I guess it would be fine. A lot of them get finessed into belief by being fed dawah, yeah.
I mean,
It is
the only way I can
permissible
understand
to do
joining,
taqiyya.
the only way I can understand joining Islam is if they are in prison, because Islam in prison is basically a street gang. Like you join for protection, but like not because it's true.
Well, so this is Black Swan brings this up, and it's actually really interesting. So the Outcast and others, the Outcast is interesting because the the percentage of people who are ginger who become Muslim is abnormally high. It is the highest statistic of any people group per capita. So the vast majority of gingers that are approached by Islam end up becoming Muslims. Why? And one of the reasons is in those societies that make fun of gingers, it might be that they just are hated by everyone around them all the time. They're just sick of it. Then someone comes like, "Hey, you are, you're so good. Yes, yes, yes." And then they're like,
He
"Okay,
looks just like a prophet.
absolutely." Yeah, because Muhammad was probably a ginger. And this other guy converted because he was promised a wife, and that I can get as well. Um, yeah, lust can definitely play a role into it. But if you're converting out of lust, is that really a good conversion? Is that, are you actually doing the shahada? It gets into the same, are you sober minded in doing it? Um, he says it looks like you're wearing a.
Not today. I decided to take it off for the street.
uh, so he said, watching a ton of videos, the main attraction a lot of people talk about is the community aspect of it. I think that is legitimate. I think that is something that Christians have dropped the ball on
Well,
hard, especially in
some
the West.
Christians.
In Africa,
Okay.
not so much.
Uh,
In
there
Asia
are
and
some.
Africa, not at all. But
There are
in the
some.
West, there's a
There are
lot of
some.
groups that are
There are
really
some
bad at it.
Christians that have still maintained the community building. The Anabaptists do it. Chef's kiss. Uh, that's your
Fair.
Mennonites and your Amish. Like no one
Yeah.
does community better than them.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not to say that they don't have other theological problems. I'm just saying like they do community really well. I really wish that a lot of other Christian denominations could learn things from them about that, because Christians should do a lot better taking care of our own. Uh,
Yeah. No, I agree.
especially
There's a lot of
especially with the last several decades, about 50, 50 to 80 years, where it seems that community has become a lot more fractured, like secular community. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
Families falling apart. There's not like the robust social clubs like there used to be. Like our churches really need to be trying to fill in the gaps.
Yeah. Which a lot of the low church churches actually are doing, ironically, and the high church churches aren't. That's my perception, at least. Um, and
It's kind of odd
that is
because like
definitely
Christians have done this before. Like the YMCA stands for the Young Christian Men's Association. The reason why it's called that is because it was founded by people to actually help build community about 100 years ago from a Christian point of view. Now, I don't think the YMCA has like maintained the faith very well,
mm,
but that's how that's their origins. So like
yeah,
Christians have done this sort of thing before. Um, we just need to
yeah,
learn a lot from our past.
yeah. You said it's the dinner conversations are more so about like politics than it is about life and religion and things that are important. Yeah. There's this idea that the world distracts us from God. And this internet age is definitely the worst
Uh,
uh,
there are only
offender at
really,
that.
at the end of the day, two important topics to talk about: man's relationship with God, which is theology, and man's relationship with his fellow man, which is politics.
Yeah.
Now, you could say that there's a third thing, which is like how to think about man's relationship with God and man's relationship with his fellow man, which is philosophy. But philosophy is like what you have to do in order to do theology and politics. So
Hmm.
you're never without philosophy.
Yeah. You might both open up to a fourth category and say math or science, like engineering, creation of things.
But like
But that would
all
probably still fall into your man's relationship to man.
or man's
Things like,
relationship
why
with
are we
God.
making
Like if
this?
you're talking about math as the
Sure.
language of God, then you're doing theology.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Which I personally would say it is.
yeah. So again, that's the two most important topics, and everything will eventually boil down to one of those two anyway. Especially
Yeah.
if it's interesting.
I do agree though that the focus on things that are not important, especially with like TikTok rot, where you are having you're a nerd, Chris, ain't nobody trying to talk about math during dinner. Brother, brother, hop on the call so I can roast you. Never mind. Uh the I legitimately had so many like conversation about this while eating with my brother. It's pretty insane how many times it happened. Because I started studying the ideas of infinities and infinite series and all that type of stuff whenever I was in high school. I cooked you. For those who don't know, he's my editor, my best friend, and I sent him a pretty mean photo earlier. It was good, wonderful.
It is too bad we can't drop pictures in the chat.
But I could put it on screen. But that's a little mean. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. It'd be funny though. Anyway, yeah, we've lost the community touch. Where like, I mean, I'm guilty of this myself. I don't even know the names of all my neighbors. I know the like immediate houses, but I don't know like the houses across, like diagonal, or like three houses down. I know some of them, but not all of them. uh, if I sent a picture of Emmaus in the chat, I would be called anti-Semite. He doesn't look like a Jew. I don't know what you're on about, my guy. Uh, he just looks like a white guy. Uh,
I don't even have tassels.
Man. But yeah, to sum up the stream, I don't know how much longer we want to keep going, but uh, the Quran's false.
Mm-hmm.
The Earth is not flat.
Mm-hmm.
People
It
apparently
is.
still gaslit into believing the Earth is flat.
It is in fact a sphere.
Indeed, yes, yeah, we are not flat earthers.
Yes.
Um, And then the Quran's wrong about a lot of things. Ramadan doesn't make any sense. And it's all Jewish. It's copied. And yeah, don't believe it. Test it. See if it's true. Don't blindly believe things. Jesus is really cool. God's awesome. Come to faith. Allah has the tendency to make the inbred obsess about Jews all the time. He's a pretty nasty demon.
Yeah. UGC Marketplace. You are welcome to try to debunk anything that we read out of your sources. Please. Like we would love it. We would love it if you debunked your sources.
It's great. I mean, even just bringing up like the Tafsir and like what it actually says about it.
Yeah. So here it is. Al Jalalain, the two Jalals, and the earth, how it was laid out flat. So this is the two Jalals commenting on Surah 88:20 at the where it's talking about the earth being outspread. Okay. And thus infer from this the power of God exalted be He in His oneness. The commencing with the mention of camels. This is talking about the previous verse. The one before the one I just read, is because they are closer in contact with the earth than any other animal. As for his words, suaha, laid out flat, this on a literal reading suggests that the earth is flat, which is the opinion of most of the scholars of the revealed law. So that's the learned in Sharia. And not a sphere, as astronomers al-Haya have it, even if this letter does not contradict any of the pillars of law. So the two Jalals wrote this in the 16th century. So in the 16th century, most of the scholars of Sharia were flat earthers. This makes it incredibly difficult for Muslims today to not be flat earthers without falling into the sin of bid'ah, innovation. Because you would have to say that the majority of your Sharia scholars in the 16th century were either wrong or liars. So UGC, if you're willing to do that, by all means, like come and tell us, how bad your sources are, how they cannot be trusted, and how they're all done. Absolutely, like come on, bring it. So then Chris has left me alone with the chat. Fun. Well, I don't have anything else to add. Oh, there you are, Chris.
Yes. Sorry, I had to pee real bad.
You had anything else to add? Huh?
Got
a response. There was a common belief the earth would be flat. Absolutely. Don't disagree. So I can 100% say that they were wrong on this. Okay. Is the Quran wrong when the Quran says that the earth is flat like a carpet that's been laid out? Because again, this is what your classical tafsirs tell us that the Quran means.
Well, without the scholars, you don't actually know what Islam is.
Yeah, are you?
So if you deny all of the
scholars, are you a scholar yourself, UGC? Like, I guess again, it sounds like you are engaging in bid'ah.
Tafsir's come through, but again, like all of the Quran seems to indicate that it is just aligning with the flat Earth theory.
Yeah, if we just read it in context, it sounds an awful lot like it's saying flat Earth. We go to the Tafsirs, and the Tafsirs say, yes, it's flat Earth.
The Hadith say it too.
Okay, if you don't deny the scholars, then that means that the scholars must be correct when they say it's teaching flat Earth.
I just don't believe that they're infallible.
Okay, then. So are you rejecting the scholars? Because again, it sounds like you are engaging in the sin of bid'ah.
So again, he's just saying that it's commentary.
That doesn't get you out of the problem.
Yeah, but without the commentary, you don't actually know what your religion is saying the vast majority of the time.
Jalalain, the two Jalals, is authoritative. as is Ibn Kathir, who says the earth is smooth. I wonder what that means. And as is Ibn Abbas, who says that the earth is over water, which is a reference to the ancient Near East cosmology. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
I mean,
my friend,
okay.
I don't believe that the Tafsirs are 100% true. I'm explicitly saying I think that they're wrong. I just think that I think that they are actually telling the truth about what the Quran means. I'm specifically saying that they're wrong, and this is why this is a problem for Islam. So it just seems like the Quran and the earliest Muslims believed flat Earth. And if you're rejecting flat Earth, it sounds like you're committing the sin of bid'ah. You are an innovator, are you not?
Yeah. He basically just says that scholars don't actually believe that they are infallible or 100% true. But it's not the problem that...
Yeah, but you can't disagree with them. That's the thing. You cannot disagree with the scholars without committing the sin of bid'ah. Then you're an innovator. You have to. Are you yourself a scholar? Like UGC Marketplace. If you are a scholar, we might work with that.
Well, it's not that we're holding the Tafsir as an authority upon the Quran, which that's kind of
we're holding the Tafsir authority over you, UGC Marketplace. We're using the Tafsirs as a tool in order to fairly exegete the Quran, because we don't want to just run in and say, even though this looks an awful lot like it's a flat Earth, just to assume that. Okay, so we're actually going to your sources and showing how Muslims read it this way.
So he's asking what scholar told you that it's bid'ah.
That would be the Sharia, my friend. You can't, this is the whole thing. Like, if you, so the sin of innovation is specifically denounced in the Quran itself, as well as the Hadith, because you cannot disagree with anything that Muhammad, and by extension Allah, said. You have to just accept it. If there's a little part of you that kind of resists, then you're actually not a Muslim. You're either a hypocrite, you're a mushrik, or you're just an unbeliever. You're a kafir. Right? So you have to depend upon the scholars who know everything and then exegete the religion, the Quran and the Hadiths to you. All right? And if you reject the scholars, then again, you're an innovator. Specifically, what verse are you asking for from Ibn Kathir? Because I've pulled him multiple times in this presentation. Usually because he talks about the earth being level or smooth.
That's probably his commentary on Al-Fatiha, if I had to guess. I'm currently pulling up a PDF.
Now, if you're going to be like, well, Ibn Kathir says this, and that beats Quran, because again, the Quran says that you cannot be an innovator. Then you're going to run it again. You're going to run into some other issues, because if you're running to Ibn Kathir to try to defeat Quranic exegesis, where we just say the Quran says this, you run into the fact of might run into some problems of being a mushrik, of committing shirk, because Muhammad said that Christians commit shirk when we follow Christians and Jews when we follow the teachings of monks and rabbis against what the Quran says. So even if you have Ibn Kathir saying something where again he contradicts where he says that it's about the earth being smooth or whatever, even if you get that, you would have to actually rule out that the Quran is teaching flat earth. And you're going to have to use the scholars, which are, again, the people that are the scholars, like Al-Jalalain, are the ones that think that the earth is flat. It's a problem for you, friend. I feel for you. But I don't think that there's an easy way out for you, because you have to navigate not accidentally committing shirk and not accidentally committing bid'ah.
So I think what he's talking about is here. So therefore, the scholars are required to elaborate upon the meanings of Allah's speech and to convey these meanings, because providing they seek them from their proper resources, the scholars are required to learn and convey these meanings, just as Allah said.
But that doesn't help
And
him.
remember, and then it keeps going.
This
Allah
is all-
criticized the people of the scriptures, Jews and Christians who came before us, for ignoring Allah's book that was revealed to them, and for acquiring and indulging the affairs of this life, all while being distracted from what they were commanded, that is, adhering to Allah's book. We Muslims are thus required to refrain from doing what Allah criticized the people of the scriptures for, and to heed what He commanded us, learning and comprehending the book of Allah revealed to us, and to convey all that is in it. Allah said, quoting 57, hence Allah's mentioning this ayah after the ayah that preceded it alerts us to the fact that just as He brings life to the earth after it has died, He also softens the hearts with faith and
You're
guidance
missing the
after they
point.
become
The
hard.
problem is not that the scholars are not infallible. The problem is that you, as just a run-of-the-mill Muslim, cannot disagree with them. Whether or not the scholars are infallible is not part of the argument. The argument is that you have to submit to them. They are your authority. And if you reject them as your authority, you are committing the sin of bid'ah. You're an innovator.
If you know
That's
them to be
innovation.
incorrect, but
You've just committed the sin of bid'ah.
also, is the Quran incorrect in stating those facts?
Okay, so if we go to something in the Quran, like if we pull up the Quran right now at UGC and point to something that is verifiably 100% false, would you reject the Quran?
Would you apostate?
Yeah.
It would be wrong if you deny the
Okay,
Quran.
then you can't reject something that you know is incorrect. you just do that back. Again, like you're stuck, my friend. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. But if you deny the opinion of the scholar,
That's the sin of
their
bid'ah.
opinion is incorrect.
Yeah, my friend, you say you have committed the sin of bid'ah. You are an innovator. I mean, go ahead, man. Be careful around the mosque. They'll hurt your end if they find out. I mean,
yeah. What do you do with the false claims of the Quran? Like, the Quran does have verifiably false claims, and the only way out of those false claims is to appeal to the Tafsir that make it not deliberately false. So, like, the idea that Mary is within the Trinity, the only way you can get around that being just false information that Allah is saying is by appealing to the scholars. So you have to make the scholars an authority equal to the Quran in interpretation. But at the same time, the scholars are then saying these same scholars, by the way, are saying that the earth is flat, according to the Quran. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. It seems like there's this error in the way you're thinking about things.
so UGC, when are you saying that within the context of saying that Mary is a member, one of the three gods, Daddy God, Mommy God, and Baby God? And this is said in the same context of say not three, that Muhammad, and by extension Allah, is not trying to be a polemical against the Trinity? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what he's saying.
By the way,
Trinity itself is mentioned
your
in that verse
own
talking about.
Translators often insert Trinity into that verse.
The clear Quran does, yeah.
Yeah, your own translators.
Some of the modern ones.
Like they think it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but again, that's not even the point. It's like sure that the Trinity thing is a false claim, but even having Haman,
like your Quran
Pharaoh
says the Jews worship Ezra. What Jew ever has worshipped Ezra?
even like just the errors itself, like historical errors, like crucifixion existing in
Yeah,
the
your
day of Pharaoh.
your,
The
your Quran,
Tafsir, like, hey, that means that it was hung on a pole, but you have to appeal to the Tafsir in order to get past the historical error. You do the
your
same thing with
Quran
Haman.
straight up says that Pharaoh, at the time of Moses, was crucifying people. Crucifixion was
Repeatedly
invented
says
by
it
the
more than once.
Persians around the year 600 BC. Moses, in case you
But
aren't aware, either lived around 1500 BC or around 2000 BC. Like there's some disagreement about when the Exodus happened.
yeah. Okay, so you're not saying you're able to get the scholars understanding the verse. I agree with a lot of the Tafsir. So you're
Again,
cherry picking them.
now you're cherry picking your scholars. Like again, I feel like I've trapped you, my friend. Like you've fallen right into the trap. Because I don't think you have an easy way out, if there is one. Because you have to avoid committing the sin of bid'ah, which you've already committed, and you have to avoid committing the sin of shirk. So if we establish that any of these verses of Quran is teaching flat Earth, and you're going like, but my scholar says that the Earth is round. Well, if you follow the scholar, then that means you're worshiping the scholar, according to I believe it's Surah
Yeah.
9.
That's shirk. Surah 930. You're taking a rabbi as a lord beside Allah. You're taking an imam as a lord beside Allah, or a scholar.
Like
Okay, so again, but saying that the earth is not flat would be a contradiction with the Quran and Hadith, which indicate that it is.
Just like if we go to one of these verses and just say like, hey, that just is what it means. Again, like the earth is a wide expanse. In the Arabic, that means it's spread out flat. The earth is spread out flat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the earth is spread out flat? UGC.
Or even
We have spread out the earth.
How excellent a spreader we are.
Did Allah spread out the earth? Spread out the earth flat? Do you agree? Do you affirm that? UGC.
Okay, so even if you go to the linguistics saying that the earth is egg-shaped, that would just be a contradiction within the Quran. That wouldn't necessarily be proving that this passage is not also teaching a flat earth.
Okay, so you affirm that the earth is flat. Okay? Who is made for the earth like a bed? They're talking about Bedouin carpet beds here. They're pulled out flat, and they have tent pegs in them. That's what the mountains are, okay? I can get mountain tent pegs that's just explicitly right out of the Quran. Okay, so that's the imagery. So, there he is.
Wrong.
I affirm it was spread out flat. He's a flat earther. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of these that are very, very difficult to get past. One of them, the Arabic actually just outright says that the earth is flat, and at the earth, how it is outspread. You can actually translate that directly as flat.
Now he's trying to argue.
How is it outspread?
Now he's taking like a Tolkien Lord of the Rings view, where it's like, yeah, it was flat at one point, but now it's been curved.
Again,
where'd you get that from, man? I mean, like,
at no point in the Quran does it ever say that it was changed. And actually, we get the opposite. We get that firm mountains were placed on it to keep it in place of how it was.
Yeah.
So we get right here. And the earth we have spread out and have placed there in firm mountains and caused to grow there all kinds of things in due proportion. And another one that also means the firm mountains. We place there in firm mountains and rivers and every kind of fruits.
So according to the Quran, the mountains are like tent pegs in that they are stabbed into the ground and holding it in place.
It's just,
all right. Do you agree with the Quran on that too? I mean, but don't take it back. You've already affirmed the flat Earth, man. I mean, like. Man, you might as well double down at this point.
I mean, you can just say only God
Oh,
knows and
okay.
move
So,
on with
so
your life.
the
But
mountains being the mountains holding down, like pressed into the earth, holding down the ground. That's a miracle of the Quran. Amazing.
again, brother, honestly, I'm not even trying to be mean or anything. Just like, just think, well, the mountains aren't stabilizing the earth. That's not
Yeah.
how mountains work.
That's,
The mountains are from the earth being unstable and
mountains are not
shoving
like
against each other
snakes,
and
man. I mean,
uplifting.
like,
Yeah, they're actually like it literally is the opposite of that. Mountains only exist because of plate tectonics, with the plates moving and crashing into each other, subduction and uplift. That's what actually causes the mountain formations that we see. Whether that happened old or quickly doesn't really matter. Either way, that's what the mountains, how they were caused. So the Quran talks about the mountains in the opposite way. The mountains are
mountains do not
stabilizers in the
stabilize
Quran.
and absorb shaking. That's not what mountains do.
No, they don't. And mountains still move. I mean, they also cause earthquakes. Because mountains move, earthquakes happen. So
Because
this is
that's where, again, that's where the tectonic plates are bumping up against each other. So
yeah,
if the plates are still moving, that's where earthquakes happen.
yeah.
Mountains do not
No,
absorb earthquakes.
mountains cause the earthquakes. Because the plate tectonics are still happening, it
Yes,
moves
yes,
it apart from
it
it,
is
and
basic.
then
It is
the
basic geology,
structure,
my friend. And
the fault lines are creating it.
the Quran flubs it pretty hard. This is why Ali Dawah says that all of the scientific miracles in the Quran were debunked. Do mountains absorb earthquakes? No, they do not. That's it. But he says use Shake Google. So what does Shake Google have to say?
No,
No,
mountains do not
mountains
absorb
do not absorb
earthquakes.
earthquakes. Okay, so
They can
your
even
Shake,
amplify their effects.
yeah, your preferred Shake,
Hold on, let me make that
UGC
bigger.
Marketplace. Your preferred Shake Google. Come, it says you're wrong.
Uh, yeah. So the Quran is giving false information about what mountains do, what mountains are. Um, oh, I even looked up exactly. I didn't even mean to do this. He typed this after I'd already typed it.
Yeah.
That's word for word what I typed, except I actually spelled earthquake correctly. That is the result Google gives you. I can do this in incognito tab if you don't believe me. Hold on. Let me do it without any cookies. Let me share that and then show it to you.
Oh, now he claims he's got a paper.
Hold on.
He's
Let
doing
me
the old
unshare
Daniel Hill
this.
Kickajou method. Okay.
Share that. Oh, is it gonna? It's not gonna let me share. It's not letting me share an incognito window, so I'll just share my whole screen. So this is incognito. There it is. Incognito. Again, do mountains absorb earthquakes? No, mountains do not absorb earthquakes. Rather, they can influence them directly, amplifying seismic waves in some locations while dampening them in others. They can dampen them, yes, but they can also amplify them.
Can you see the link on your end where he's wanting us to go look at a paper?
Mountains. So this is on phys.org. Sure. I don't have. I'm not gonna let that one. Let's get rid of that. Phys.org from the University of Twente. According to the research of Professor Mark van de Meer, or the whatever, mountains influence the impact of earthquakes. It was already known that topography in an area has an influence on earthquakes, but the major influence at the local level is new. Mountains can reduce the power of quakes, but also direct them to certain places, making them more powerful than expected.
Seems to be saying about the same thing as Shake Google. Does not say anything about mountains absorbing shockwaves or earthquakes.
Also, no, I can't see a link if you sent it. It doesn't actually have it. But here is a paper. Well, it's on phys.org. It's a report from these professors that it can dampen them, which is part of the Islamic understanding of this. They also have that it can make them more powerful than expected because of plate tectonics.
Now he wants to see what Shake Google has to say about do mountains stabilize the earth. Okay, man. I mean, we'll go to your
Uh,
favorite shake if you want us to. How did that turn out
oh,
last time?
my guy. Okay. I don't.
And like you see, in all seriousness, like, please, like you're probably a lot smarter than this. Like, it's okay to doubt the Quran. Okay, it's okay to doubt Islam because they're not true. I realize that might be really tough to hear, but like like you're better than this. There are better options out there. You can actually know and have a relationship with the one true God, and it's not Allah. Like, one true God exists, and He loves you. He's not a tyrannical slave master. He's your Father. He, he longs, deeply longs, for you to come to Him. UGC.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, like there is many errors within the Quran. Many. Um, I hope that if you honestly search for them and find them and you examine them and you find them to be false, that you would consider at least leaving Islam. Not necessarily leaving Islam, so there's zero errors in the Quran.
If we show
I
you one,
hope
will you leave the? Will you reject the Quran? UGC, like if we show you a bona fide, verifiable, 100% error in the Quran.
so. He read Sham Shamoon, and they're all easily debunked.
Okay, then show me the Jew who worships Ezra. Where's he at?
The 930, or yeah, no 929 to 930.
Uh, or like would a contradiction be an error? UGC, would you accept a Quran contradiction as an error?
Oh, there's many of those.
Yeah, we got some of
Yeah.
those on hand too.
What is the length of weaning a child? According to the Quran, there's two different answers.
Yeah.
It's either 24 months or it's 30 months.
I mean, like you've got one spot in the Quran that says one thing, and you've got another verse in the Quran that says right the opposite.
Not even like who the first prophet was, like information within the Quran that are contradictory entirely. So
Okay,
like it says
so
A and it says
can
B, but it's supposed to
so
be the same thing.
the one I have in mind, UGC, is the answer to the question: can bearers of burdens bear the sins of other people? Can bearers of burdens bear other people's burdens? Yes or no?
Quran says no in one passage.
Is he still
I
with
don't know if
us?
he's going to answer.
Okay, I'm using Quranic language, my friend. So
Yeah, he's
can
quoting
bearers
from.
of burdens bear the burdens of others? So burdens here mean sins. So like a simplified way of saying it is saying like to not use the Quranic language is can sinners bear the sins of others? Can you be guilty for other people's sins?
So while he's thinking about that, yes and
He
no.
said yes and no.
He said yes and
Well,
no. Okay.
you're giving the Quranic answer because again, that's actually a contradiction of the Quran. Quran says in two places the answer is yes, and then it says in like three places the answer is no.
So here is a mathematical contradiction that's not even esoteric, so you don't need to have any level of interpretation. It's just two different statements in the Quran, and they contradict. So here we have, and we commanded a
Okay,
man regarding his parents. His mother bears him in weakness upon
okay,
weakness, and his
okay.
weaning is in 2 years.
Your Quran says that murderers are guilty for the sins of the people that they murder.
That's true, Tim. And 46:15. And
This
the
isn't even
bearing of him
involved.
and weaning of him is 30 months.
Yeah, this isn't this. I'm not even talking about like the where it's like, because it says elsewhere that somebody who leads someone astray is guilty for that person's sins, which is already a contradiction because you have blanket statements saying that no bearer of burdens will bear another sins. But then again, then
Yes,
that
but this is a
contradicts.
contradiction.
Then that contradicts your statement that the answer is no. The answer is yes.
Yeah. So you can't have, so this is again the law of non-contradiction. You either have something that is or something that isn't. You can't have both. The law of excluded middle, there's no middle ground, and you have those two options. Either it is or it isn't. If you're saying that it is and it isn't at the same time, you're having your cake and eating it too. You are forcing an impossibility to be the case, which is why we call it a contradiction.
Now,
Why it's considered an
now,
error is
now again,
because you're having something be true and false at the same time.
now again, you could reject logic entirely and just say that contradictions are not errors. It is not a clear ruling that you're responsible for your own sins. Remember, one of the pillars of Islam is was it Qadr, the absolute predestination. You are not responsible. Allah is. So that's the first part of that is not true Islamic. If you murder, you are responsible for that sense of the okay, and have the sense of the burden put on you as punishment. So that means that you are
Bearing another's burden.
bearers again. The bearer of burdens do in fact bear the burdens of another, which means that the
Mhm.
Quran is wrong when it says that.
Yeah.
UGC.
So this is a contradiction. So you have that contradiction there. You also have this numeric contradiction. So those are two different types of contradictions that we've shown you that are in
Exactly,
error.
UGC. That's what I just said. Anything that occurs, Allah wills to occur. Correct. That's the absolute predestination. So that means that you are not a free agent. You do not have free will. If Allah is willing everything, there is no free will. Free
Yeah.
will is a heresy in Islam. Okay, I'm not even joking.
The
Like, you can
Tafsir
actually
say.
you can get hurt very bad if you start saying that you believe in free will down at the local mosque. Please don't do that.
There are tafsirs that claim that free will doesn't exist. There's hadith that basically claim the same thing. Free will doesn't necessarily exist. It's untrue.
If you
So
have
this
free
is
will, then that means that Allah did not predestinate it. What do you mean by free will? Because free will, if it's actually free, means that you're choosing between different options.
So this is also a contradiction with what the Quran says. The Quran does say that Allah forces people to do things, like He forces people to sin to go to hell. That is again like Allah is the one who's responsible for the sins of the kafir, according to
So
Allah.
UGC, when you say you believe in free will, are you saying that you believe that people are able to choose between different options, or are you saying that people will always choose what they want?
Show me. Okay, yeah, yeah. Hold on. It happens dozens of times. But go ahead and pull up one for you. I'm just gonna flip to a random page.
Here, I can look up one too.
Let's go through Sod. Let's see. I mean, I know the earlier surahs have it, but also a lot of the middle and surahs have it too. Yep. Hold on. So 30, what is this? The Throngs is 39. Let's go through 39. So the Throngs 36. And will not allow defend his slave, yet they would not don't have it on screen. Wrong one. Yet they would frighten you with those besides him. He whom Allah leads astray, for them there is no guide. And he whom Allah guides, for him can be no misleader. Is not Allah Almighty able to repay?
So Allah causes people to be led astray. He leads them astray himself. Now, is being led astray sin? It's my understanding that it is.
Yes.
Again, that's the
sin.
Quranic attack against us Christians, that we are led astray.
This also happens earlier in the surah in 23. This is Allah's guidance with which he guides those whom he wills, and for him whom Allah leads astray, for him there is no guide. And that is going into death. This is a very, very common phrase in the Quran. And it is he who is doing it every single time. So it's Allah specifically guiding and leading the people into sin. He's causing them to sin. He's causing them to be in that. The 226. So there's a lot of statements that is contradictory to that. Yeah, this is probably just going to be one of those contradictory statements. Allah doesn't disdain to use the comparison even of a gnat. Those who believe know that it is the truth from their Lord, but those who do not believe say, what does Allah mean by such a comparison? He misleads many by means of it, and he guides many by means of it, and he misleads only wrongdoers with it. But again, he himself is misleading people.
Why are they disobedient? Is it because Allah willed them to be disobedient? Or is it because they chose to be disobedient? So you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah. And he says repeatedly that it's him who's causing people to be disobedient.
People do not follow the shaitan. They don't have free will. Allah causes them to follow the shaitan. And then Allah causes the shaitan to do what he does too.
I think in Surah 7, it affirms that shaitan is only deceiving people by Allah's permission and by Allah's will. So would still be Allah's will for shaitan to mislead people into disobedience. So it'd still be ultimately Allah causing the sin and then causing them to be going to hell.
Yeah,
Allah is the actor in this instance that's causing people to go to hell.
Because Allah has already made everybody for the hellfire. Like he makes certain people for the hellfire and makes some people for Jannah.
Yeah. And there's some very, very extremely expensive ones too.
If Allah only allows people to follow the shaitan, then that means that they are not responsible for following the shaitan. Because they couldn't have done otherwise.
Also, you just put a restriction on Allah and committed shirk. You're saying that Allah is only allowed to do something. Allah is beyond any rules, including his own. He can do whatever he wants. It's not for his slave to determine what Allah can and can't do.
Wait, is he there Allah, or is he there the person that is being led astray? Because I read that as he is the person who is led astray.
He's getting the Bible or the Quran verse.
Okay, he wants us to go to Surah 1699. So, okay, we're going to read the entire context to see if this even helps you. So we're going to start like a couple of verses early. So, do not buy go back up to 95. And do not buy a small gain at the price of Allah's covenant. Indeed, what Allah has is better for you, if you only knew. What you have wastes away, and what Allah has remains. And indeed, we reward those who are steadfast in proportion to the best of what they used to do. Whoever does right, whether male or female, and is a believer, indeed, we will give him a new life. We will reward him in proportion to the best of what they used to do. When you recite the Quran, seek refuge in Allah from the Satan, the outcast. Indeed, he has no power over those who believe and put their trust in their Lord. His power is only over those who make a friend of him and those who ascribe partners to him. And when they put a sign in the place of a sign, Allah knows best what he reveals. They say, indeed, you are just fabricating. Most of them do not know. This doesn't help you, UGC. And we've got maybe a non-Islamic flat earther. The flat Earth has been debunked. In fact,
also go to 43 real quick. 4336 is deeply, deeply important to the discussion. And he who signs sight is dim to the remembrance of Ar-Rahman, we assign to him a Satan who becomes his comrade. So who's assigning the Satan to him?
Hold on. Divergent Droid, if you're still watching, look up Will Duffy. Pastor Will Duffy took like the third most famous flat earther in the world to Antarctica. So that way they could watch the sun move around the horizon, which proves that the earth is in fact a sphere. Okay?
Yeah.
Please go watch that. They filmed the entire thing.
Yeah. And then they didn't really, I thought they held off the release of it for a while.
Yeah.
Like there was the Flat Earth group that paid for this giant expensive experiment. It proved that the earth is round, and then they didn't want to release it. Which is hilarious. But for UGC, and it is he whose sight is dim to the remembrance of Ar-Rahman, we assign to him a Satan who becomes his comrade.
So
and indeed, they surely turn them from the way of Allah, and yet they think they are rightly guided, until when he comes to us, he says, if only there were distance of the two horizons between me and you, an evil comrade. Yeah. So they think they're rightly guided because Allah is tricking them into thinking that they're doing good, that they're not sinning, yet it is the we who assigns to him a Satan as his comrade, and then causes him to be misguided and thinking that what he's doing is good. This is Allah causing them to sin.
What you're saying doesn't make sense. So your statement either said that the people who are led astray did not have free will, or it said that there were limits on Allah. Your statement did not say anything about the shaitans having an authority only over those who make him as a friend. You either denied man's free will or you put limits on Allah. Okay.
So you're claiming that this is only about the rebellious, but it is. You have to affirm.
You are simply mistaken. That is exactly what they did. You can go and watch it.
Yeah.
And this is just one of many times that flat earthers have inadvertently proved the world is in fact a sphere. When I was a kid, I remember that a bunch of them proved it with lasers on live TV. You can probably find that one out there too, floating around. They went out on you remember that one, Chris? So they went out on a beach and proved it with lasers because you can measure the curvature of the Earth.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
remember that?
There's the moon conspiracy is also kind of fun because we left a transmitter on the moon. You can point a laser at it and like get a ping on Earth.
But you see, there is no such thing as rebellious people in Islam because of the absolute predestination. Allah always gets what he wants because he predestinates everything. He just predestinates certain people to hell.
But here's the big problem with the idea that 226 helps. Because and they say if Ar-Rahman had willed, he would not have worshipped them. They have no knowledge whatsoever that they just guess. Yeah. Or have they given them a bunny book before they are holding fast to it? No, for they only say, indeed, we found our fathers following a religion, we were guided by their footprints. So
Divergent Droid, sin and son are two words in English that have nothing to do with each other.
This is the Quran, again, affirming sin equals son. What? Do you know where the word sin comes from? Or where the word son comes from? Well, no, there is a hadith. Do you know about this hadith? There is a hadith that says that there is a baby that died, and then Aisha is like, well, at least they're in paradise. And then Muhammad's like, oh, we don't know that. The baby could be in hell because of deeds that he would have committed. So Allah guides people into hell, even as babies. You are predestined to what you're going to be going to. And Allah chooses beforehand, before you're born, whether or not you're going to heaven or hell, and then assigns you demons based on that. You can't say that they're misguided and then being led into it. The Quran affirms if Allah had wanted to, he could have saved everyone, yet he's choosing not to save everyone that makes Allah evil because there's no such thing as free will. So because there's no such thing as free will and Allah is deliberately torturing people forever to satisfy himself, that makes Allah an evil deity. He's not worth following based on how he views humanity. He does it for fun. I mean, also, Allah doesn't actually exist, so that's not really a thing. But like, from that point of view, He created us to be worshipped by Him. Yeah, our purpose was to worship Him, and He deliberately kills people for the heck of it. He could have just made all of us. No, I'm not an atheist. I'm a Christian. But Allah doesn't exist. The Allah of Islam doesn't exist.
If
Yahweh
Allah does
exists.
exist, he's a demon. Even
Yahweh
more
exists.
specifically, if Allah exists, he is a malevolent cave jinn.
Also fair. Okay. So, Maya shared this, the final experiment.
Yeah. So that has like, there's like a, I don't know, let me count them here. 6 installments of them going to Antarctica and then filming the sun going around the horizon. At the time, you could watch it live.
So if we go to, no, that's not
that. What do I mean? What do we mean when Allah doesn't exist? Okay, so we do not believe that Allah, the God of Islam, the being that begets not and is not begotten and is the greatest of all deceivers, properly exists. So if there is a being that exists that lays claim to this name, then he is not God, but he's a demon. That's what we're saying, UGC.
So this is just
now
not
God,
true either.
Yahweh, he does exist, but Yahweh is not Allah.
So we also have in 42:8, if Allah had willed, He could have made them one community, but Allah brings those whom He wills into His mercy, and the wrongdoers have no friend or helper.
UGC Marketplace, he is not the greatest of all planners. He's the greatest of all deceivers, or you can also render it schemers. It is mocker is a negative term. But again, Allah does the same thing to the Jews what the Jews were doing to Jesus. Okay.
You also have this problem that repeatedly the Quran claims that Allah could have saved everyone, that everyone could have been rightly guided, and He chose not to.
Do we have to pull up the Arabic English Dictionary? Because the Arabic English Dictionary lists deceiver as the third definition for mocker. It's after like schemer and I forget what the other one is. Schemer and I forget what the other
planner.
One is. It's not planner. Like because it's a negative word.
Oh yeah. What is the latest planners? Is Surah Al-Anfal? So 8:30. Actually, I have it up over here.
Divergent Droid. Why is it important to you that the Earth is flat?
Yeah, he's still going on about it.
Yeah, because I saw that where you said you're a Christian. So why is it important to you that the Earth is flat?
Gamers here. Is the Abdul Halim?
Is what I was thinking of. Anyway, because it's a negative word.
Plotter, schemer, planner. These are all Muslim translations. Yeah, the Clear Quran says that, but the Clear Quran deliberately changes the text on purpose many times.
The Clear Quran is very, shall we say, free with how it renders some of these words. Sometimes the clear Quran deliberately hides the meaning of the Arabic. And what mocker means is it means it's like schemer, plotter, or deceiver. It's a negative word. It shows that Allah is underhanded.
Yeah, the best of schemers is the majority Islamic view throughout history. But even like,
But
is the Halili Khan?
Divergent droid, flat Earth is not validated with physics and measurements. It is in fact specifically disproved with physics and measurements. You can literally measure the curvature of the Earth if you have a laser and about 500 yards of open field.
A beachfront is usually pretty good because it's relatively flat from the sand, from the waves.
If you live on the coast, you can go and you can watch ships sail over the horizon. You can see them go, like it looks like they're going out into the sea, or it looks like they're coming up around it, because you can actually see them sailing over the curvature of the Earth. So now he's rejecting English. English. He says that it only means what it means in Arabic.
Okay, so the schemer translation was done by Pickthall.
Yeah, that was Muslim translations, my dude. You're rejecting your own co-religionists. They're not anti-Islamists.
I showed only Muslim translations.
My friend.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. It's look at the majority on the verse. The majority is schemers throughout history.
Yes, Divergent Droid. You can measure it. You have to have like so much foot, but you can measure it with lasers, because of how the light bends. Yes. In fact, flat earthers have actually went and done this and then proved that the Earth curved.
Yeah. Hold on. But
again, UGC. Allah is not only does he mock her, which is again distinctly negative, but he explicitly says that he deceives people. He makes them think they're rightly guided when he actually leads them astray. Your Quran says that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just brought up one of them. But here's another one. If it had been possible for a Quran to cause the mountains to move, or the earth to be torn apart, or the dead to speak, no, but the whole command is Allah's. Don't those who believe know that if Allah had willed, he could have guided all mankind. So this is proof positive that Allah could have saved everyone, could have made everyone believe in him, yet he is deliberately causing people to have doubt, to have unbelief, to be part of the unbelievers, and then give them a shaitan.
If you don't reject this verse, then that means that Allah deceives people. All right? Yeah. Instead of choosing to guide all mankind, he has chosen to guide some and misguide others. The ones that he has misguided, he has deceived.
He does deceive people.
Divergent Droid, if your background's in HVAC, you're not a physicist.
Oh, well, that's a little unfair. You can learn, especially if he's doing it for a while, you can learn physics without being a scientist.
Physics while doing HVAC, but that's not what your background's in. Like your background is not relevant to mapping the Earth.
I mean, to be fair, Tesla was digging ditches for most of his life before he invented electricity.
Fair. But like appealing to your 30 years putting in air conditioning has no relevance to your ability to prove with physics that the Earth is flat.
Again,
they do not deceive themselves. They don't have free will. Allah deceives
It's
them.
Allah that's deceiving them.
It's Allah.
Yeah. So, free will is a sin, and like the belief of free will is a sin. I forgot what the name of it is. Let's find that real quick. It's rejecting qadar, which throughout time people have said is haram. You don't believe in absolute free will. Okay. This is a contradiction in definitions. So the belief in absolute free will versus free will and actions is you're contradicting yourself while you speak. You have to have both. You can't have one without the other, because otherwise you wouldn't actually have the free will to be able to make the actions to begin with. You are limiting free will to a thing where it's not even free. It is slightly puppeted. It's like
Okay.
I'm controlling the strings of a puppet, but I cut one string and let that arm like flail about whenever I move it. That's not really free will. You're still being controlled by the puppet master. It's you
Divergent
think you
droid.
have free will because that is reality. We have free will, but the Quran doesn't really teach that. It
Divergent
teaches the
droid.
opposite.
It's not that I want the Earth to be a globe. It just so happens that the Earth is a globe. Now, I can't post the documentary here, but you can go and watch it on Netflix. Here's the link to the Wikipedia page. Flat Earthers went to the beach and proved that the Earth is round using lasers. You can watch it on Netflix.
That's what this question was
Yeah, so
related to.
It just happens to be true that the Earth is a globe. And as a Christian, I believe that people ought to believe true things. Like we ought to believe as few false things as possible, and the most true things as possible. And because of this,
false.
I do think that people who are flat earthers ought to give up their flat earthism and believe that the Earth is round because it just so happens that the Earth is round.
So this idea that the free will is not actually from a theist
Um,
perspective is
yeah,
entirely false.
you should see. I have no idea what you're talking about because atheists do not believe in free will. They're
Yeah,
materialist
they don't.
determinists.
They believe in chemical will.
Yeah.
They don't
That,
think we actually like exist as a mind. We're just
yeah.
chemicals firing in a certain way.
I think it's just brain fizz.
But
So
again, so like the I refer to free will as in a person makes their own choice. God
okay,
wills them to
then
be
that
able
means
to
that's
make
not
that
predestination.
choice as knowledge before they do it.
Yeah. If
So
if
then
people
you're
are making their own
denying
choice, if you're a free
qadar.
agent, then that means that Allah did not predestinate predestinate your choices because you're choosing them.
Yeah. Also, we're both open theists, so we don't believe in predestination.
Well, God can predestinate things, but He doesn't predestinate things by damaging the will. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
When He predestinates things, He's talking about things that He's going to do. Is how that works. Is how we see that. But like,
Yeah.
just talking philosophically for you, like if you're a free agent, then that means that Allah didn't predestinate that, which is against the pillars of Islam.
If you have actual choice, that means that predestination it's not real. So I think that's actually one of the biggest critiques against that view is that's why I'm an open theist, because I don't think God has perfect foreknowledge of the future. If he does, then free will can't exist.
UGC Marketplace. I would love to know which atheists you're talking to. Every single one I know are materialist determinists. I know that there's like one woman in academia somewhere that claims that she can find free will somewhere in the brain fizz, and she's considered to be a bit of a kook. Okay.
If you deny Qadar, that's sin. And saying that we have free will is basically doing that. Because ultimately, if you're opening up the choice of humans, like an actual tangible choice.
Exactly, UGC. So all things that happen only occur by the will of God. So that means that everything happens is because Allah caused it. That's the claim. So if that's true, then you are not making your own choices because Allah's already chosen.
Yeah. It's an illusion of choice, but it's not real choice.
Mm-hmm.
If it's real choice, then you have to deny Qatar. That's the problem. And that's why it's not really livable. You have to invalidate your imam. You have to show that it doesn't work. So no, you have a lot of the contradictions inside the Quran, which I showed one that you ignored with the 24 months versus 30 months, where even if you say that the 30 months is bearing and weaning, that would only give you 6 months of pregnancy, and no children are going to be surviving in the desert from only 6 months of pregnancy. So the Quran has a mathematical error in a contradiction between two different passages saying that babies are weaned in 24 months in one place and then babies are weaned in 30 months in another place, along with the date of pregnancy, which if you extrapolate that, that would be 21 months for weaning. Either way, that is a flat out contradiction error in the Quran, and it's copied from the Jews. It's not even original to Allah. It's taken from the Talmud, as is much of the stuff from the Quran. It's taken from the Talmud. So, what do you do with that? There's many such errors like that that are not explainable. The more you read the Quran, the more you find. It's kind of amazing to me. I thought I knew most of them. Then I've read more and more of the Quran. And I just keep finding more. But I think I'm going to call it myself.
Roy, as much as I would enjoy doing that, we've been going at this for almost 3 hours now. Like we're about to wind this thing down. But like I don't know what to tell you, man. Like again, we've known that you can right now, you and a buddy can prove that the Earth is round using shadows of tall buildings. This is how the Greeks did it back before the time of Christ.
Yeah, it's like 1000 BC. They did it with obelisks.
Yeah, you can measure the shadows at the same time, like noon.
Same time of day. Yeah.
Noon. One of you be one side of the one state. One of you be in another state. Like again, me. I might happen to be on the East Coast. Chris is in the middle of America. Like you can measure how the shadows are different lengths, which shows that the Earth is round.
Yeah, they did that back in the Middle East in like 1000 BC. That's how that was the first instance that we proved that the Earth is a globe. Which is why like the whole idea of a flat Earth being the dominant view up until the Enlightenment is not historically accurate.
It doesn't matter if you disagree with us. The problem is that you don't know your own religion. Like it's not ignorance and arrogance. Like again, this is this simple philosophy.
Will you be live tomorrow so I can be early? Nope. Next time I'm gonna be live is on Monday, but it's just gonna be on reading the Bible, so it's not gonna have anything to do with Islam. I'll be live again around that same time next Wednesday, maybe around 8 or so. 8 Central. So whatever time period is, so 8 US Central, 8 p.m. But other than that, I will be live Monday if you want to stop by, but I won't be answering anything about Islam during that time period. If you want to ask me Bible questions, you can during that time period, but I'm not going to relate it back to Islam. That's more of my Christian-focused stream versus my Islamic-focused stream. But, yeah. Anyway, I need to go to sleep. Got things to do tomorrow. So.
Anyway, so I guess this is going to be us signing off then.
Yes.
God bless everybody. Jesus Christ is the one true Lord, and the Father is the one true God. Stay away from Islam.
Stay away from Islam. Also, I'd never actually watched Sham Shmoon. I think I've seen 2 clips of him, and it was just about Catholicism. Uh, anyway, peace be unto you, as Jesus greeted. That's cute. Yes. All right. Yes, thank you, Emmaus, for joining me. It was a blast. I enjoyed a lot of it, every single second of it. The cookie was my favorite part. Um, but that doesn't really count. So, uh, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit with you always. Thank you for coming out, those who did. Thank you for watching, those who did. If you're watching the VOD and made it to the end, I don't know, comment like flamingo or something in the comment section. See you guys later.
I mean.